medicated for it. I need to be less of an asshole. But it's a really good way of like summing up why I don't like being told what to do.
Or it could just be like, nah, I just don't like being told what to do.
Yeah, but
that kind of sums it up too.
I like being able to label my problems.
But I feel like that just like gets rid of blame. It's like, it's not my fault. It's my ODD's fault.
No, I feel like I still take blame for that. But I like it.
But I think most people would not. I think most people would be like, oh yeah, I do have ODD, so it's not my fault that I am going to go against everything that you say. Like that's where the line is. I was like, that's just bullshit and called pride.
I'm not mean. I just have asshole syndrome.
Right. Yeah,
like,
exactly.
what do you want from
Chris
me?
says. This is Twin Stick Radio, episode 56 for the week of February 12th, 2019. I am one of your hosts, Trey Higgins, and I'm joined by Chris Rodriguez.
Hello.
And Justin T. Lopez.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Hey.
Oh, yeah.
I love
sweet.
you guys.
Why is that why you're wearing a pink lanyard around your neck?
No, it's just a work thing.
You have to wear pink ones?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Has it always been pink?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
That's why there was one day where I wore a pink shirt and you guys were like, oh, that's a girl shirt.
No, it was the fit that made it look like a girl's shirt.
But then someone added in that it was pink as well. Anyways.
I don't know. I think we're pretty comfortable with our masculinity here.
Yeah, well,
just because you wear pink doesn't mean
That's true.
It's a girl shirt.
Here's the thing, right? In the 50s, a guy could wear pink and it's okay. But then you got into like the 60s and 70s and started getting hipster, and then it was like, okay, wearing pink's just part of the decor. But then you get into the 80s where it's like, oh, people are hard, right? Mm-hmm. That's where the punk scene and the goth scene came out. So it's like black, and people kind of gravitated away from pink. So it's like, oh, you're a girl if you wear pink, right? But then like the 90s and the 2000s came along, and bros finally came up, right?
I was literally about to say that's my least favorite time.
The dual polo, one polo, and then another polo over that, and then both collars popped. One was light blue, one was light pink, and then the shorts and the at that time whatever Birkenstocks would have been.
Right.
Then the bro came along and made it okay to wear pink again.
Well, there was also the shirts that were like real men wear pink.
Sure, exactly.
The most obnoxious shirt ever.
To be fair, this isn't like that pink. This is like This lanyard is like the hottest pink. I mean, we're talking like Barbie pink. We're talking 40-year-old bejeweled middle-aged women pink. Like that's where you're at right now.
I'm with you. I agree.
Well, now we're at that point. I can't remember the fucking word.
Bejeweled?
But now we're at that point in 2010.
Bedazzled. Sorry, not bejeweled. Bejeweled's a game.
Yeah.
Bedazzled.
But now we're at that post 2010 era where like effeminate men seem to be super attractive. There's a better word for it. But men that metrosexual. The whole metro dude thing is like
is metro still a thing? Like I thought that went away with the whole I'm not saying the big like LGBTQ community, like the movement. I thought the metrosexual kind of like
that's kind of what the whole hipster movement
went away,
is, though.
right?
Like every hipster is kind of a metrosexual dude.
Anytime I think metrosexual,
I guess.
Well, I think like
they morphed into hipsters.
Long hair pulled up into like man buns or ponytails. Really, really like short cropped beards that are like super well taken care of.
Eating disorders. So like
eating disorders. I don't know if that's metrosexual. I think that's
clothes fit
mental
perfect.
Health issue. But there's also but it's also the clothes they wear that are like weird patterns,
but extremely form fitting.
Yeah,
yeah. Like, I mean, I'm not...
Skinny jeans, fucking capris.
Yeah.
The man capris are now... That's the most metrosexual thing, and they're all on hipsters.
Man capris are in division. 100% confirmed. My freaking... In the open beta that we played this past weekend, my dude started with man capris.
It's a soldier thing.
Yeah, I guess it is.
Man capris.
Apparently, if you're
capris and the desert scarves.
Division agent in Washington, D.C., you wear man capris.
To be fair, if you're wearing like long enough boots, I guess it doesn't matter how long.
No, they weren't. They were man capris, and then you saw like the...
You're like wearing flip-flops?
No, they were like not, what is it? Hentai pants? Harem pants.
Okay, hentai is Japanese porn.
Okay, that's not it.
Not like animated porn.
No. What are the pants that are kind of baggy up there and they get super skinny down towards your calves?
Parachute pants?
No,
that's the other way around.
No, like they're not baggy. They're little. They're
like way less form fitting than
exactly. And then as they
down.
get further down toward like your calves, and then they're just like extremely tight. I think Whitney called them harem pants or harem pants or so. Anyway, those are in the game. And you can even see like the
bulge.
No, the pull cord underneath.
Oh, where they like pull it to make it tighter.
To make it tighter. But then underneath that, you can see that the division agent's wearing like black tights, right? Like compression tights.
Compression, yeah.
Yeah.
Are we convinced that this game's not set in Austin?
Dude, I don't know, man. And then like the shoes that I started with were like running shoes, like
Nikes,
like
or
Nike or New Balance running shoes or whatever the hell it is.
Toms.
Whatever, yeah. But like my division agent looked the most hipster he could possibly look with a shit ton of like division tech on. It just looks
I need to pre-order
super
this
weird.
game.
Oh, you think that's
super? It looks super fucking weird.
That sounds badass to me.
It looked
but
really
this is
weird
also
to
the
me.
person who like made like a modern day cowboy in Red Dead.
Yeah.
So
like looks super fucking weird to me. But that's actually really cool because as we played the game and unlocked shit or found shit, I found the normal like, okay, these pants look like tactical, and I'm wearing more of that tactical like vest looking. It just it's going to be weird playing Division, seeing like hipster Division agents and tactical Division agents playing together.
I'm sold on this game.
Yeah,
I love being hipsters.
it's just weird
worlds. Before we get on to video games, last week we started the show talking about internet whining that wasn't related necessarily to video games.
Oh, I have more internet whining to talk about.
Me too. I wanted to ask you guys how you feel about this whole Chris Pratt bullshit that's going down.
I have no idea what that is.
So Chris Pratt went on the Late Show.
Oh, Chris Pratt.
Oh, you said Crit Pratt.
I meant Chris Pratt. I don't know what's wrong with me.
I was like, who's Crit Pratt?
I think I'm dying. Chris Pratt. I think it's the way that I think I lisped a little bit too hard on that S. But for those of you that don't know, he went on like the late night or something and talked about his church and his relationship with his church and God and all that. And shortly after the thing, Ellen Page went on the internet and was like, "Hey, his church is infamously anti-LGBT. Why didn't you ask him about that?" And then it turned into this whole thing where everyone was attacking Chris Pratt for hating gay people. And then he went on during the weekend and said something on his Instagram story that was basically like, "Hey, like, my church doesn't define who I am. I'm not a spokesperson for my church. I'm just kind of doing my thing. And, I think everyone should be able to love whoever they love, and I don't have a problem with that. So, here's a Bible verse to make you feel better." But it's just turned into this whole big deal. And I was just curious what you guys thought.
What church isn't anti-gay or anti-LGBT? Like that, if you're calling yourself a Christian church, then you're automatically that.
I think his church is affiliated with this church called Hillsong, and they've openly said like, "We'll accept sinners, but we don't agree with the sin or their right to be."
Sure, I mean that's every church
doing their thing.
Like I don't. So I mean, coming from like either playing at churches or working, making videos and contracting for churches, like you see that. I mean, it's not a uncommon thing for any Christian church to say, "Oh yeah, what you're doing, we're okay with," right? You sticking your penis in a dude's ass, we're totally fine with that. That's not a thing. That's never been a thing, and it never will be a thing because Christian church is archaic and it's ridiculous. But calling it out, I mean, I guess is a good thing, but it's not going to change anything. It's the Christian church.
I don't have a problem.
It's been the same thing for 2,000 fucking years.
I don't have a problem with Ellen Page calling it out.
I do have a problem with Ellen Page calling it out because it wasn't fair to Chris Pratt. That's really like.
But I don't think the criticism was at Chris Pratt.
It's like looking for a fight.
I think the criticism was at Jimmy Kimmel. Because Jimmy Kimmel, whoever was hosting, it was Colbert. It was Colbert.
Okay.
It was at Colbert. It was like, hey, like if you're going to talk about this, if you're going to make this a point in the interview when this guy's going around touring for the Lego Movie 2, why are you going to avoid this part of it? I think it was less towards Chris Pratt. I think the internet's reaction was directed at Chris Pratt.
Sure,
but I don't think that Ellen Page was like, Chris Pratt, you suck.
But even then, like that's just Ellen Page. Like she's looking for a fight. Like why? What's the point?
Well, and it's interesting too because it's like why pick on? Okay, so regardless of what your beliefs are, like why pick on Chris Pratt because he has a different belief than you whenever there are countless other celebrities who I guarantee have different beliefs than Ellen Page or whoever.
Well, because that's what I mean. That's what like I was trying to sound as as sensitive as possible.
Be PC.
Sure, I'm gonna try. But it's
Get ready to mute him.
But it's gonna fail because that's what SJWs do. They point blame and they try to point out the wrong to make them seem right. That's what they do. It's not good. It's the same thing like the Republican Party in our political landscape that we're in America is right now. They're always just, pointing out the wrong and not really working toward the right. It's the same thing that SJWs do. They say they work toward the right, but all they really do is point out the wrong and not work for a better. Does that make sense?
Well, yeah, no, it's kind of like the modern day feminist movement that took the meaning of feminist and kind of turned
Feminist.
it into feminist. And
feminist. We just can't talk today.
Pratt is not a feminist.
And but they turned that into almost like an anti-male movement.
Sure, exactly.
And that's not what it was about. It's about equality.
Instead of working for equality, it turned exactly.
Well, I mean, like, the way that I kind of have fallen on this is like, I do think it's a valuable question to ask someone like, hey, if you're affiliated with said church, which is openly anti-gay, like, how do you feel about that?
But to call it out over the internet is uncalled for.
Leaving that part aside, because I think Ellen Page was fine asking that question. Like, if you as an interviewer are gonna talk about someone's church and their church is famous for something, I think that you should also do your due diligence, being like, hey, where do you stand on this issue? Don't speak for your church. Where do you, as Chris Pratt, where do you stand on this issue? And I think the biggest part about all this, though, is that at no point in Chris Pratt's career has he ever been openly anti-LGBT.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
And so to me, like, I don't understand why people suddenly think he's a piece of shit when it's like, no, like, I know plenty of people that are affiliated with churches that aren't supportive of LGBT rights, and I don't think that that's necessarily an issue. Like, there's a weird thing about community, and church offers community, and you don't have to agree with every value of a community in order to support it, especially if that community does good things more often than they do bad things.
Sure. And it's not like Chris Pratt has been secretly Christian. Like, maybe this was news to some people, but he's been very open about his faith for a long time.
I think just a lot of people didn't necessarily know what church he was aligned with.
Yeah,
but,
I mean, maybe.
But that's the thing too. What were you just saying before Justin said something? You were saying like.
I was saying that community doesn't necessarily define. Who
Right,
you are.
Exactly. So that's their community, right? That's Chris Pratt's community. That's where he feels comfortable and that's where he feels safe. Like you said, that doesn't define his beliefs, or at least maybe he's not defined by the church. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So everything that the church believes, Chris Pratt automatically believes. In most Christian hierarchies, that's kind of the way it works, right? Like, you believe this one thing, blah blah blah, but you are fairly free to have your own opinion over whatever the hell you want to have,
right? And as someone who would define themselves like as Christian, like, I would say that I try to surround myself by people who kind of have the same thoughts or like the same like beliefs in the sense of like accepting other people. Like, I wouldn't like actively seek out like a Baptist church or like a very like damnation kind of church. Like, that's just not me, Sure, but leading into my bigger point is that you, as somebody who is either gay, lesbian, whatever, that entire the spectrum, that entire spectrum, not the mental spectrum,
right? That entire spectrum. Why are you even trying to call out a church? That's like me. Calling out Oscar Mayer, and it's like, why do you call it a hot dog? Because that's what it is.
I think it's just
like that's what it's always been, and it's never going to change.
I think it's just this thing in recent years. It really is something that's been going on in like the last 5, maybe 10 at most years, where like you just can't like anybody or anything anymore.
Sure, 100%.
Like, we always have to find reasons why people are pieces of shit.
Yes,
and it's like, and what if Chris Pratt was anti-LGBT? He's not going around and fucking shouting it in a megaphone.
Sure.
He's not openly giving his money to organizations that are anti-LGBT. In fact, he rarely talks about it.
Yeah, he's not beheading gay people.
Yeah, it's I just don't. Yeah, I think that would suck, and I would kind of think he was a shitty person for it. As a gay guy, I'm sort of biased in that regard. But, it's not the same as Republicans that are running around and openly talking about this bullshit and talking about how much they hate gay people. Like, it's just not the same, and I don't understand why we have to, like, hate everyone. Yeah. That's the part of it that I don't get. It's less about Chris Pratt. It's less about Ellen Page and the church and this and that. It's more about, like, when you have your fucking Harvey Weinsteins and Bill Cosby's out there, like, yeah, those are real people that we should hate because they did awful things, and there's enough substantial evidence to support them doing those awful things that maybe we shouldn't support them. But maybe Chris Pratt being in an anti-gay church isn't the worst thing that someone has ever done.
Also, again, you can't, like, all churches are anti-gay. All Christian churches are anti-gay. Whether you want to admit it or not, every Christian church you can go to all of them in America, and if they call themselves a Christian church, they are anti-gay because that is 100% against their belief system. Period. Yeah. It doesn't matter. And so again, that's why it's like, why even start that fight? Because it's number one, it's pointless, and number two, like you said, I need to be mad at somebody about something. And to answer your early question, why does the internet go after Pratt? Because it's mob mentality. It's the same thing I talk about in video games all the fucking time. It's as soon as one person is negative, everybody decides, hey, now I have something to be mad at. Mm-hmm. So let's all be negative toward this one thing. The Anthem microtransactions, the early access for video games, the exclusive shit, everybody needs something to be mad at, and you can't just let people be. To me, just looking at Chris Pratt in interview, he seems like a super cool dude. Yeah. Is he anti-LGBTQ? Sure, probably. That doesn't mean I have to hate him. Just because I disagree with Christianity. If the line is here, the line's a dot to me when it comes to Christianity. I am on the opposite side of this entire thing, but that doesn't mean I hate Justin. That doesn't mean I hate Sandy, who 100% believes in God. Mm-hmm. Like, what, why? Why do you need to hate this man?
I thought you were...
Oh, yeah, no, I was just going to say, like, you kind of touched on it, too. I think the most frustrating part for me is that why go after Chris Pratt when there are politicians who are, spouting off this hate that actually have power over, like, and they could take away your rights if enough people wanted to.
Fucking mean it.
Or, like, think about, okay, so not everybody, but a vast majority of these people who are complaining on the internet more than likely are in America, where your persecution as a homosexual is a lot less than people in other countries that are literally getting killed over this stuff. Like, there's bigger stuff happening than Chris Pratt going to a gay church.
Yeah, sure.
Than going to a anti-gay church.
Also, just to be fair, people in America are also getting killed over being gay.
No, but like literally there are mobs.
Not to the extent that you're talking about in other countries, sure.
Right.
But
well, I just, I think it's also one of those things too where a significant portion of the LGBT community is atheist, doesn't believe in God, and doesn't believe in Christianity. And so you are essentially in a fight that you have no stake in, because the reality of the situation is that, like, if you don't believe in God, then what does it matter what Christians and Muslims are doing?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Like, let them do their thing. If they don't like LGBT people, like, we can fight against it in a legal way and all that. But, fighting against someone's beliefs is sort of the same thing as fighting against someone's sexual orientation. It's a fight you're never going to win, because I could sit here and yell at you until you're blue in the face, but I'm never going to convince you to not believe whatever you believe.
And just like if I were to disagree with anybody that there's only two genders and there's not more than that, that's me not being fair to what they believe in, right? Mm-hmm. It's the same thing with Ellen Page. It's like, you're not being fair to what Chris Pratt believes in. You're not being fair to what Christians believe in. It's the same thing. Again, if you want equality, if you want me to understand that you believe there are two genders, then you have to understand that I believe in a God, or I believe in this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can't. You fight for equality all fucking day, but you don't actually want equality. You want to be right.
Well, and that's
the worst.
And I don't know. I think the older I get, the more weirdly conservative I get, because I'm not like, you
just get tired of fighting.
Well,
that's all it is. You're just tired of fighting, man.
It's more like, I've said this before on the podcast, and you know, I think that looking at the fucking video game news, like, there was stuff that I just didn't put there because I was like, I'm just sick of talking about internet babies whining about internet things. But like, it's really, really easy to hate things.
Extremely
easy to hate things.
Also, when a huge majority of people hate it with you, it makes it even easier.
When you have a community of hate and it's all sort of based on hate and centered around hate, that's so easy. It's so easy to sit here and bitch about something. It's a lot harder to like have fun and love things and to spend your time on things that you enjoy. And I just don't. There are important issues that need to be fought, and I'm not saying we don't fight them, but maybe not everything is something that needs to, you know, start in a, GoFundMe campaign to get someone unelected from a position at EA for some stupid microtransaction thing they did. I don't know. Because then when I think about, like, we're spending all this time yelling about Chris Pratt, right? Oh, Chris Pratt doesn't like gay people. He supports an anti-gay person church. What the, like, maybe if all these people that were yelling at Chris Pratt, like, maybe did something about global warming, maybe we'd actually see an impact.
That's not true. Donald Trump doesn't believe in global warming.
But
he just doesn't understand.
But that's a problem, though, is that it's something that like continues to fester, even though, like, we as a group of 4 people, and anyone correct me if I'm speaking for you, we can all agree that global warming exists and it's a danger. Maybe not to us, but to future generations.
Sure.
And maybe it's something that could affect us in our lifetime.
I would say
it's snowing in places right now. So
no, but seriously, anyone here
100%.
not believe?
No,
anyone
100%.
here not agree with that?
Look at my Twitter. Anytime Donald Trump posts about anything global warming, I literally almost pop a blood vessel.
Yeah,
every time.
Yeah. But like, what are we doing on a daily basis to fix that issue?
I don't drive as much.
Okay,
I carpool.
You drive to work with your girlfriend and you guys work at the same place. I don't think that that's necessarily carpooling.
We could take 2 cars.
Yeah, you could take 2 cars, but you guys could also work at 2 different places and carpool. So.
Yeah.
But like, and all these other people that are probably going at all these gay people, because I've mostly been seeing it in gay communities. I'm sure it's not just gay people, but all these gay people are going after Chris Pratt. I'm sure all these gay people believe in global warming, but how many of them have switched to energy efficient light bulbs and cars that have less of a carbon footprint and aren't throwing their cigarette butts on the ground at random places? Like,
that's, and you know, I think it's also a thing, you know, for all intents and purposes, the 4 of us in this room. At least, you know, I don't want to exclude Everett, but this right here, gay, Christian, I don't even know what the hell I would consider myself.
Asshole.
Yeah, and I
that broke Everett.
Yeah, like I hate Christianity. Like I literally hate it. But I don't hold Justin in contempt for it. Mm-hmm. I don't consistently bring up the fact that I disagree with it. I don't, I had
that moment, like right before Christmas or around Christmas, we were at a D&D table and we were talking about Jesus' birthday and I mouthed off, and it wasn't that I meant to offend anyone. It wasn't like I was doing it on purpose. It was just that like gut reaction of me saying something shitty about Jesus' birthday not existing. And Chris was the one that corrected me. It wasn't even like, and I instantly felt like an asshole because I didn't mean to do it. But like, that's probably the worst instance of someone making fun of Christianity.
That's my thing, right? That like just on my spectrum of thinking, I should hate Justin. I should disagree with everything he says. And being a Christian, your normal beliefs should be excluding Trey and everything you believe. Mm-hmm. But we're sitting all in this room together. We play D&D together every fucking week. We're always talking to each other. We're always communicating, and nothing comes of it. Like, I just don't understand why this can't exist outside. Actually, I do understand why it can't exist outside, because outside people hate.
Well, and it's also because no one knows each other. I thought...
Yeah.
I listened to this story today from a podcast called Reply All, and they're talking about how this one girl was basically, like, shamed to the point where she quit her job. She had to move in with her parents, and she was basically staying in all day reading the bad comments, all because she posted a picture at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. There was a sign that said, please be quiet and show respect. And she pointed a picture where it looks like she's yelling and flipping off. But it was part of a series of pictures where there's a sign that says not to do something, and she takes a picture of herself doing that thing.
Got it.
And
she picked the wrong sign to do it
yeah.
at.
And so there's this company that basically works on fixing people's internet presence. And someone asked them why they did this work for her pro bono, because it was like $100,000 worth of work. And they were like, the reality is that most people aren't, this is the exact quote from the guy. The reality is that most people aren't Voldemort. But when you have that internet smokescreen between you and another person, you are completely willing to believe that person is Voldemort, even though 10 minutes of talking to them would make you realize that this person is not the worst person in the world. And I think that's the problem with the internet, is that it's real easy for someone to sit there and be like, Chris Pratt sucks and he's an asshole. But I guarantee you, if they spent 10 minutes in that guy's presence, they would think he's the bee's knees.
Sure. Or 10 minutes watching Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
You'll think he's a bee's knees.
Yep.
Yeah, it's good talk.
Good talk.
Let he without sin cast the first stone.
You know what? I know, you know, I've said it multiple times. I just do not like Christianity, but I sure as hell respect it. I really, really do. I respect something that can be around for 2,000 years and not even bat an eye. Mm-hmm. I think it's changed a bit over that 2,000 years, but for the most part, like it's there and it's going to stay, and that's good. It gives something for people that need a reason to believe, which is awesome. And that's not a bad thing, right? I'm not saying that as a hit, right? It's not saying it's like, oh, I don't need to believe in anything, so blah blah blah. People need that comfort, and that's a very, very good thing that Christianity is providing for people. Also, the community. Like I said, I've done contract work for churches. I've worked for churches before. Most everybody in churches are really fucking cool people. I may not agree with some of their thoughts and their processes and stuff, but for the most part, they're cool people. I still talk to them. I'm best friends with somebody who believes in God.
Right. I mean, if it wasn't for church, like, I would have never met you.
Yeah, it's very true.
There's also a crazy statistic that something like 60 or 70% of all atheists suffer with problems of depression. There's a reason why.
Sure, because they don't have anything. You're right, because they don't really have a
the
belief
idea
system.
that you got 80 years on this earth and then there's nothing for all eternity is terrifying.
Sure, it is
that
terrifying.
fucks with people's brains. And if you know, not saying there's not a God, but that's what you kind of believe if you're an atheist.
Sure.
So, you know, living in the comfort of life and you know, on your side, believing strongly and maybe knowing in some people's, you know, ideation is probably way more comforting than the idea that you're going to be worm dirt.
It's that idea of having a purpose, right? You may not know your overarching story in life, but you have a purpose, and having a purpose is a lot more powerful than just
random chance.
Yeah.
I'm here because billions of years of evolution and cells got me here, and I'm just going to die after drinking myself and fucking myself to misery.
Christ.
Oh my God. This took a hard turn left. Jesus Christ.
Well, welcome to Twin Stick Radio.
You guys haven't listened to us before. We're a podcast about video games. We record weekly, and we're usually up on Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. Depends. We start the show with the same segment every single week. Chris, what are you playing?
Oh, I should have gone last. There's a lot. Like
Justin,
literally
what are you
quite a
playing?
lot.
Oh, have you?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'll go first then. Kingdom Hearts. Still taking my time with that. It's really fun. And
You're never going to finish Red Dead Redemption.
I thought about that today.
Yep,
too.
never going to finish it.
I
You're
have
so
to.
fucking close, too.
I have to.
Because
you told me that I won't. I have to.
I'm right about that, and I'm also right about Fortnite.
What about Fortnite?
Oh, I'll get to it.
Okay. Well, yeah, other than Kingdom Hearts, that's about it.
So I had a weird thought the other day. So it's safe to say you beat the game in like 50 hours, Chris?
Kingdom Hearts?
Yeah.
42, something
42,
like that?
okay,
Yeah.
So 42 hours. So like an average of 40 hours, because I know someone
Sure.
else has beat it in about 35 hours.
Whitney has 60 in it. She still hasn't
60,
finished
well,
it.
she's an outlier
Sure.
because she's like trying to break herself into every room.
She has done every recipe. She's cooked everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
She won't get the ultimate Keyblade, though. That's what took me the longest, was getting that last weapon.
Is it weird that 12 years of, and obviously not all of those 12 years were put into development, but that 12 years of sitting around and thinking about a game and working on a game in some capacity amounted in like 40 hours of gameplay?
To be completely honest with you, is it my turn? Did you play anything?
Oh, no.
Okay. So I played Kingdom Hearts 3 and finished it. And yes, I think, I don't know why I expected more, but I did. I expected more playtime, even though I know for a fact that I probably beat Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 in around the same amount of time. I put more time into those games because I had more time for those games, and I did everything, right? I did all the extra shit. I think Kingdom Hearts 1 I probably have like 60 hours in. Kingdom Hearts 2 I probably have like 80 hours in.
You might have put the same amount of time into it, but did you, gameplay-wise, like, Kingdom Hearts 3 has a lot of cutscenes. It's like you said, it's a movie.
Well, I mean, that aside, hours-wise,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I finished them in relatively the same time. But when I did finish it and I hit that save for the last time and 42 hours popped up, I was like, man, that only took 42 hours.
Yeah, I mean, you beat it in like a week or two.
Yeah, like I mean, yeah. To an extent, I was like, man, that it only took 42 hours, 12 years of waiting for 42 hours, and really, you could have shaved off probably 10 hours off of that because I did all the things to get the ultimate Keyblade. Which there was like 7 different things you had to do, which each took about an hour or more piece. So, you know, even if I didn't do that, I would have finished it in 30 to 35 hours.
Which kind of sucks because, like reading the reviews on this game and everything, I think that there's a lot of, I mean, the reviews are mostly positive, but when you read the reviews, they're really critical. And I think part of the reason why they're so critical is because it took so long to get this game.
Sure, of
course. I feel like if, it was like 5 years between 1 and 2.
Yeah, something like that.
I feel like if it was like half the amount of time that it took to get this game, like people may have reviewed it higher or had more nice things to say about it in their review.
Maybe.
But I feel like that 12 years is really hurting people's perception of the game.
It's like there's unrealistic expectations.
I don't.
But it's hard to say that too because you can't really say like what you were expecting.
If you were to take away the 12 years of waiting for this game, I don't think I would have thought
that the time was like
that the time exactly
was a problem.
Right. I like in my head or in my perspective, I was thinking like 60 hours. When I started the game, I was like, this is going to be 60 hours. This is going to be a 60-hour game. And then like 4 days later, people are beating it in like 15 hours. And I'm like, holy shit, and I beat it in 42. And it's like, whoa, fuck, man. I don't know why I expected 60 hours. It is an unrealistic expectation because none of the other games were 60 hours.
Yeah, but I again, based off of the amount of time that it took to develop, I think you have a right to believe that it's going to, because you waited over a decade for a sequel to a game that both of you guys really love. And now it's like, well, how much longer is it going to take to get that satisfaction again, to advance that story?
Well,
and had it been a beefier game, it might have felt like that wait was a little bit more worthwhile, or that the wait that you have coming up potentially
all that
is going to be worthwhile.
All that to say is that I couldn't be more satisfied with the ending of this game.
That's good.
I couldn't be more satisfied with the 42 hours that I put into that game. Like with the false perception that I had of the 60 or more hours, take that away, I could not be more happier with this game. Like, I thought it was fucking phenomenal. I thought the ending was just perfect, and I thought that since Justin hasn't finished that, I don't want to get into spoilers because Kingdom Hearts is, you spoil Kingdom Hearts, it really sucks. But I think it's set up for the continuation of this series extremely well. Which is great. I don't think we're going to have to wait 12 years for another game. I wouldn't be surprised if we got a Kingdom Hearts.
Man, I don't know.
A next Kingdom Hearts within probably 5 years.
With the thing from that, with what the secret ending suggests, I feel like it's going to be quite a while.
No, the secret ending doesn't suggest anything more than just a new story arc. That's all it's suggesting.
Well, I guess at some point you'll finish it, and we can do a spoiler cast because
he's not going to finish it anytime soon.
I will.
No, he won't.
Mark my words.
They're
marked.
I don't know the things that it suggests, and that the super secret ending that basically doesn't have hardly any dialogue or anything in it.
No dialogue.
No dialogue. Good. I thought I was going to say no dialogue, but I thought that was wrong. That's a big ask because it's asking for more from a lot of different places as opposed to just one source.
I don't think so.
Oh, interesting.
Just because, again, without getting into spoilers, everything showed in that is like a Nomura brand.
Well,
does that make sense?
That's why I think that's why I think he'll ruminate on it for a lot longer than he needs to.
Sure, maybe he will, but
because
again,
you're asking for a continuation of a story that keeps being milked, but has really not progressed in quite a long time.
Yeah, well,
at least during the time that Kingdom Hearts wasn't progressing.
I was going to say,
they had like the little things.
If you
happening.
take the base games, yeah, I would agree with you that it hasn't progressed. But over that 12-year span between 2 and 3, there's been, I would say, 5 to 7 games.
I'm talking about the other property, though.
What other? Oh, well, the other. Damn it, Justin. Why can't you just finish games in a timely manner?
I know
the game's been out for like 2 weeks.
People beat it in 15 hours.
But the average listener probably didn't. Look at any of your trophies. I guaranteed like most of them are like half owners have this.
The property that's been shown was the scrapped versus 13. That's why I don't think.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Can you step out of the room for a second? Sure. Because I while Justin's stepping out of the room, we're gonna spoil this ending, which I don't really think is spoiling it.
No, we're not gonna spoil the ending.
Not the ending.
Kingdom
We're gonna
Hearts
spoil
3,
the
secret ending. Sure.
Do you care about Kingdom Hearts, Everett? No. Yeah. Okay. Good. Yeah. So the whole thing. Correct me if I'm wrong. The whole thing
The
is
Verum Rex.
Well, and the ending I'm talking about. They're in what looks to be Tokyo.
Riku and Sora wake up in Shibuya.
And the Shibuya that they're in is very reminiscent of The World Ends With You.
Yes.
And that's what I mean by a title that just hasn't been touched in a really
but The
long
World
time.
Ends With You was already in a Kingdom Hearts game. World Ends With You was it was in Dream Drop Distance. It was in the DS game.
Okay, so I guess they have touched it.
It's already been set up. It's already there. However, that Verum Rex, so like that dude who's on top of the building with the two different colored eyes. That is if you play through the game
Versus 13?
That was supposed to. That whole thing. So if you play through the game, right before you start Toy Box, which is a Toy Story world.
Are you going more into spoilers that we need to potentially?
Not really.
Okay, cool.
But when you start the Toy Box world, they show this trailer for a video game in like Toy Story world, and you're watching. You're just like, what the hell is going on? You don't recognize the characters. One of them looks like Riku, but he's got two different color eyes, and you're like, what the fuck is happening? And it ends up being a trailer for a game in Toy Story world. And so, but all that was shown, I think Nomura's already said, like, that is assets that they had used for something else. So, what other thing that Nomura worked on that hasn't been used?
Versus 13.
So,
Which I thought they had recycled a lot of that into 15.
They did, but if you look at that guy on top of the building, that dude looks a shit ton like Noctis. More like Riku too, but he looks a lot like Noctis. Anyway, that aside, like, pull that out. And that's another thing. The secret ending, if you don't pay attention to Kingdom Hearts, you have no fucking clue who that hooded figure was that did the heart symbol over the moon.
Yeah.
No clue whatsoever.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I mean, the secret ending's not for people who don't know who that is.
No. I mean, the thing that freaked me out about
sure,
it was the
was
World
the
Ends With You
realistic
stuff.
Shibuya. Yeah, sure. And I think, to be honest with you, if anybody can pull it off, it's Nomura, because he's pulled off 3 different Kingdom Hearts games where you play with Final Fantasy characters and Disney characters. It's like somehow he's pulled that off.
Well, and it's not that I doubt him. It's never. You don't ever doubt Nomura.
Sure.
That's sort of what it comes down to. However, not doubting him is not my issue. It's the timeline.
Sure.
It's that, like, it's really cool that he's bringing all these different things, and it seems like potentially a sequel to this game could really dovetail more into
Do you hear music?
I think Justin's whistling.
Justin, stop whistling!
I'm pretty sure he was whistling.
I think he was whistling
Idiot.
too.
But it seems like if they do make a sequel to Kingdom Hearts, what they're going to be leaning more into is the Square Enix property side. At least that's what it seems to be hinting.
Which, good God, that needs to happen. Like, I would love for Kingdom Hearts to get away from Disney. I would fucking love that.
Because one of the complaints I keep hearing about Kingdom Hearts 3 is that it really kind of stays away from the Final Fantasy side of things.
No Final Fantasy characters in this game. None whatsoever.
And a lot of people were like, I thought that was the whole point of the series.
It
is
100%
that,
is, yeah. But yes, to back up your thing, I think it is super ambitious. And, it took 12 years to go from 2 to 3. I hope it doesn't do that again, but now Nomura's on Final Fantasy VII Remake. Who knows how long that's going to fucking take? So we may not get another mainline Kingdom Hearts game for a long time. However, in defense of all that, the secret ending of Kingdom Hearts 1 was the setup for the side games.
Oh, okay.
So there was never like a real big setup for.
I'm down for that. Like, I really want him to do more stuff with The World Ends With You.
I agree.
I think in a lot of ways, as someone who hasn't played Kingdom Hearts, I really think The World Ends With You. And even looking at Kingdom Hearts, I really think it's It's my favorite thing that he's done.
Yeah.
I think it's really original. I think the style of it is super, super cool. I like the fact that it doesn't, it was a new IP, and it was a risky IP, and it's just an awesome game.
And it worked.
And, Nomura can do great things on Final Fantasy, and he's done great things with Kingdom Hearts, but it was really cool to see him sort of be off leash and create a world that no one else had fiddled with.
Yeah.
So I would love for him, even if it's just sort of in the sidecar with Kingdom Hearts, I would love to see him jump in there and run around that world a little bit more.
I agree. So, all right, Justin,
I'll grab him real fast.
Okay. And the other thing I'm playing is Division 2. I'm sorry, not the Division 2. It's not out yet. But I got because I pre-ordered because I'm a shill like that.
Right. You don't buy into the we don't pre-order.
Yeah, no. Well, not if I know. I want the cool shit.
Right.
Like
I'm back.
I'm that guy, right? I'm the shill who wants a really cool shit for pre-ordering.
You're the problem.
In defense of you pre-ordering, though, I don't think you've ever pre-ordered a game and not liked it.
Oh, that's true.
I think you tend to know what you're gonna like.
Yeah, that's true. Anyway, so I got into the private beta, and me and Daniel got to play Division a bit, and I was telling Trey on the way over here, I learned Daniel does not like the Division, so he is definitely not going to be playing that, because the Division is a game. So Daniel has a style of playing these games, Destiny, Anthem, games like that Trey and I know all too well.
Okay.
Daniel is the guy who it's like, okay, everybody hang on. What's the best way to attack this situation? By the time I'm done saying situation, Daniel's already in there shooting something with a shotgun. That's Daniel's way of playing, and that's fine. That's just the way Daniel plays, and he can do it. And Anthem and Division, Destiny, 100% viable.
Makes
way
sense
to play
why he
games.
wants to be the tank in Anthem.
You cannot do that in the Division. It is just impossible to do that in the Division. In the first game and this new, especially in the new one. So I learned that Daniel just was not having fun with the Division. However, all that to say, it's really fucking good. Division 2 was a shit ton of fun. And I wanted Trey to be here because I wanted to tell him, I told him in the car, the reason Trey didn't get into the Division because I out-leveled him so fast that he had nobody to play with. That's right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which really sucks. However, in Division 2, now if I'm level 30 and decked out in all this gear and Trey comes and joins me or I join him, everything's normalized to the highest level player. So Trey's going to be viable in any situation we're in, and he'll get drops for his level, not level 30.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's really great way to normalize shit.
It's one of the, if we're going to go into a system of games where playing with your friends is encouraged and leveling is a significant part of that game and how you handle progression in your game, more games need to figure this out in a good way.
Yeah.
And part of me, like I said, I think we talked about this a little bit last week. Part of me is still skeptical because MMOs that have introduced that feature still haven't figured out the balance part of it.
Sure.
But I'm hopeful that that with Division, it sounds like Anthem 2, that they might have figured it out.
I hope so.
And honestly, we were talking in the car too. Destiny doesn't scale up very well because of light level caps, but it has always scaled down well.
Sure.
It doesn't matter. You could be power level 600 and I could be power level 300, but if we jump into a 300 level strike playlist, you and I are the same amount of viable.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And part of that is because it's not a real leveling system and the gear system isn't that robust. But I think more games need to figure that out because
I agree.
It's one of the benefits of playing PUBG or Fortnite or Apex is that everyone starts out on the same level playing field. Mm-hmm. And we don't need to go to that extreme, but it means that you could have played PUBG for 150 hours and I could be on hour 5 and we have the same the same chance of success in any given round of PUBG. You might have a slight advantage because you have more hours,
based on skill and stuff.
But it's not like you jump into the map and you're wearing top tier armor and have the best guns and your HP is higher.
But yeah, the Division's really fun. The glaring issues from part 1 are still kind of there. So enemies slide and there's just weird graphical issues and the beta was you just get disconnected for a random reason, and they literally 2 days in a row they patched the beta, and I was like, who patches a beta? But they were trying to fix the disconnection issues, which was good. I mean, I guess that's good.
Yeah,
I mean, that's better than just like,
Yeah, exactly.
It's
it really is.
Let it ride.
Yeah, sure. The skills felt super weak, way more weak than Division 1 did. So like you throw your turret up and it's just like they tickle the target instead of like actually doing something to things. They have this new thing. So like in Division 1, you had this thing called the Seeker Mine where you just drop it next to you and it goes and finds the nearest enemies and explodes like a grenade or does different things. In Division 2, you have to control it. So you drop it, but then you use your reticle to point where you want it to go, and then you press the button and it goes. The problem with that is it's really, really hard to target something, especially on the ground, when you're on the same level.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So like if I'm hiding behind something and something's on the same level as I am, it's really hard to target the ground. That's like from a perspective, not even 3 feet above where I'm looking. It was real easy when you got up top and you could do this and you could do all that. And the skills just felt weird. They were really cool. There was a drone that dropped bombs. Like that was super fucking cool. However, it took so long to get where your target was that enemies would naturally just move out of the way. Not even see the drone coming. It's just it took so long to get there that enemies had already moved their position after you've targeted them. Mm-hmm. So there's things like that just need to be fixed. They let you do a taste of the end game, so they leveled you up to 30 and let you pick one of the specializations, which was super fucking cool. The sharpshooter, I think Daniel said he wasn't having a lot of fun with, but he liked the grenader, which gives you a grenade launcher and you just fucking throw grenades like crazy. The problem with that is each one of those specialization weapons, the 50 cal sniper rifle, the grenade launcher, and the crossbow, explosive crossbow, mind you, which is fucking cool as shit. You only have like a limited amount of ammo to it, and once it's gone, it's like gone. At least we thought. Come to find out, after the beta's over with, if you kill somebody, so like the crossbow, it's an explosive crossbow bolt. If you kill somebody with a status effect, they're guaranteed to drop ammo for your special thing.
Interesting.
If you kill somebody with a headshot with the 50 cal sniper rifle, they're guaranteed to drop ammo for the 50 cal sniper rifle.
Okay.
Nobody said any of that in the beta.
Right.
So we ran out of ammo like that, and it's like, well, now
I don't get to use my thing.
Yeah, now we can't use the really cool thing that rewards you for level 30.
They should, but also like that also. But that's still a problem, right?
Sure.
Not every enemy needs to drop that super heavy ammo. Of
course not.
But
right.
the percentage should be slightly higher so that if you aren't hitting headshots or you aren't killing things with status effects, you can still use that weapon.
And then I feel like with like the grenade launcher, it's like you should never run out of ammo then, because it's like surely your grenades are killing people.
Sure. Well, I don't know the stipulation for the grenade, but in between every encounter in Division, there's always an ammo box. You can refill all your ammo, but it doesn't refill the special stuff. And so not knowing the special stipulations, it's like, well, shit, I don't, what am I supposed to do now? And so like, it got me thinking, when the game comes out, it's going to be really cool. Cause like the crossbow, you have to kill somebody with a status effect to get crossbow bolts. So that tells me, oh, well, I just need to run a flame turret and a flame seeker grenade. That way they're always consistently on fire, so I just kill them and they drop it. Like I understand where they're going with that. I understand that they want specific builds to use specific weapons, which is super fucking cool, right? Mm-hmm. Gives players choice and volition, which is really, really great. I just wish I knew it in the beta because it would have made it a lot more fun. Yeah. Also, well done, Ubisoft. There was we didn't get to do everything in the beta. We played almost all weekend and did not get to do everything, which is super fucking cool. Like, I mean, it's not cool because we didn't get to experience everything, but there was so much in the beta that it is kind of cool that we didn't get to experience everything.
That means it gives you something to look forward to when the other beta's out.
I'll tell you this though. I told Daniel this. It hurts my freaking inner being saying this. I don't see myself playing Division as much as Anthem. I just don't. It
doesn't hurt your inner being though.
No, it does hurt my inner being because I love the Division. Yeah, you know how much I love that game.
Sure, but you also love Star Wars: The Old Republic, and it's not like your obsession with Destiny over Star Wars: The Old Republic like hurts your love of that game.
Yeah, no,
you still jump in and have a month of a really good time.
Sure, but like just I played the Division through the worst parts of it into the best parts, and I fucking love that game. But it's gonna be weird. I know now I'm gonna prioritize Anthem over the Division because they come out within 3 weeks of each other.
Well, and I think
that doesn't mean I can't play both. I'm just going to prioritize Anthem over Division.
I think it also comes down to who updates more often.
Sure.
Like if there's a content drawn in Anthem, it doesn't matter how much you love that game.
It's true. It's very true.
You're always going to play Division more if they're
true.
updating it more frequently.
Very true.
You mentioned earlier something about Fortnite when you were making fun of Justin.
Oh.
You're going to talk about Fortnite?
So Apex Legends, do you have this in the news? Apex Legends has reached in the first
25 million.
25 million players. 25 million players. It had on Twitch over 400,000 people watching it concurrently. They just today or yesterday had their first tournament thing over Twitch. There was almost 500,000 people watching that, and Fortnite has dropped below 15,000 people watching it on Twitch.
Yep. Wow.
And Game Jesus rises.
I don't know. We'll see.
Oh, this is I really like this the Say No to Rage podcast. I really like them because that's that guy who is a Destiny streamer, but he speaks out about the ill practices of Destiny, which I really love. He's got this podcast called the Say No to Rage podcast, and he's got all streamers on his podcast from like a bunch of different aspects of Twitch, but they're all saying the same thing: is that they're seeing Twitch streamers are tired of Fortnite. They're tired of it, and it's now that Apex comes along, it's like the perfect, oh man, we're tired of playing Fortnite, but now we've got this thing, and it's garnering a shit ton of people.
Yeah,
but that's potentially good for Fortnite though. Like
it could be,
but it comes down to that argument that we have all the time about like a 3 console society is better than a 1 or 2.
Yeah, 100%.
And with battle royale games, I think what PUBG and Fortnite have proven is that you can kind of just do the same thing over and over again, and it's not going to affect your player base. When you throw out another game out there that's actual competition, because PUBG is not competition for Fortnite. Not. But when you throw out another game that is actually competition, you have to innovate in order to keep your player base.
Sure.
That means that Epic did a good job at the beginning of coming out with a super creative game that does really crazy things and is super different.
Sure.
But now it's giving those developers a chance to think harder about how do we make this stand out compared to Apex.
And it's going to be really hard because Apex is, for all intents and purposes, a MOBA. Right? It's a battle royale MOBA, which is I think what we've said for yes, it 100% is.
There's no mobs. There's no.
Yeah, but it's a
class
it's
system.
It's a battle royale hero shooter.
Right. It's for all intents and purposes, minus the mobs. Fine, Everett. It's a fucking. It's a MOBA. It's 100%. It's like in Fortnite and PUBG. You just pick a character and you go shoot somebody. It's Apex Legends, you actually have a hero character like you do in every single MOBA that has specific abilities that are used to progress in the game, like a MOBA.
So is Overwatch a MOBA?
No, because there's not a team. It's not a team. Well, to an extent, sure. I think I even said that about Overwatch in the beginning. It feels like a MOBA. Anyway, if they can add, they would have to add classes to Fortnite. I don't know what they would have to do.
Because I think that the thing that Fortnite does that Apex, as far as I know, and Battle Royale or PUBG don't do is their building system. I think that's super unique to Fortnite. I think a lot of people prefer the hero system, but
I was going to say I think that's what people are tired of. People are tired of spotting somebody in Fortnite, and then all of a sudden there's this giant fucking 19-story hotel.
Like that's the meta for sure.
Yeah, it's just really annoying.
The thing about Fortnite though is that they already have a hero system in their game. That's what their whole save the world portion of their game is heroes.
Oh, sure, but that's not the battle royale.
Yeah, but they could easily port that gameplay style over to their thing, and they could do really crazy and creative things. But also, a problem with Apex that I'm hearing very low complaints about, but I think are going to increase.
Oh, I have another complaint about Apex, by the way.
But another complaint that I've heard about Apex is that the hero thing for Battle Royale kind of hurts the game a little bit because some heroes are so much better than others.
Sure, but that's a balancing issue that Respawn has to work on.
I think the robot has some sort of mobility thing that he can do that no other hero can do. And so everyone wants to play the robot because he can get around the map a lot easier. And
sure.
And for a game like if it's based off the Titanfall engine, movement's really important.
Sure, yeah.
And that's a significant advantage that one player has over the other.
Sure, yeah, but that's where balancing comes in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's only been out for
they can do fake balancing
a week.
Like
a week.
Yeah.
They can do fake balancing like Overwatch does, where nerf a character, but they basically just kill it because people are playing it too much.
Sure.
And then when people stop playing it, they buff the character.
Yep.
That's what happened to Reaper.
They just put it right back to where he was before.
Yeah. Sure. Everyone's like, "Oh, Reaper sucks now." So he intentionally sucks because they wanted you to try out Torbjorn. Or
the only thing I saw on Anthem is there's an armor system.
Apex.
Sorry, there's an armor system for your hero class where I don't know if it levels with you, but like people, the more you play, either the better your armor you get, or something like that. I could be wrong. I haven't played the damn game, but somebody was saying about there's an armor system in game that could be exploited to players' advantage.
I heard Anthony Gallegos talk about that on Rebel FM, and what he was saying is that it's like PUBG where you pick up armor, which means that if someone finds a random drop of armor that's significantly better than yours, you're never going to beat them in a fight. And I think that is a problem.
Maybe that's what it is.
And Arthur Geese, who's also on that podcast, brought up the fact that all these rumors about Halo Infinite or whatever it's called having a battle royale mode. It's like, the way that Spartan health and shields work in a Halo game are perfect for a MOBA.
Sure.
Because your survivability is higher, but also things come back so quickly and everyone's on an equal playing field that you don't need to have an armor system in your game to artificially extend someone's life.
Here's my issue, though. Here's my biggest issue is that I call it a duplicitous nature. So like 2 years ago, we had this huge debacle with EA about loot boxes and pay for power type microtransactions. Let's take Anthem for example. Anthem comes around and it's a $60 game and people are still complaining about microtransactions even though it's literally cosmetic only, right? Mm-hmm. But then the same company, EA, who's publishing Anthem, drops this game where there's loot boxes and pay for power and nobody bats an eye at it. Literally nobody is saying anything negative about Anthem's microtransaction system.
Give it another week because that was the same. That was the same thing.
Apex.
That was the same thing we talked about with Bobo. Black Ops Blackout. Bobo. That was the same thing we talked about with Bobo, where 2 weeks after it came out, we were the only people complaining about the fact that like the way they're handling microtransactions, and then a month later, everyone was mad about it.
Right, and the biggest thing is like, hey, it's a free-to-play game, so they're okay. It's like, no, they're not okay. Buying power and buying loot boxes is never okay. Overwatch, it's not okay. Frickin' Apex, it's not okay. Division, it's not okay. Loot boxes are not okay, period. They're just not. There's a reason countries all over the world are literally banning loot boxes because it's gambling, and it's just not okay. It's not a good consumer-friendly price transaction structure that you need to build your game off of.
Yeah, but
it's just fucking ridiculous.
But look at the market that they're stealing from, though. Like their player base is coming from Fortnite and PUBG, where they have the battle pass system, where you're paying money to potentially not get armor that you're paying for.
Of course,
I'm sorry, cosmetics that you're not paying for. Like these are the exact people that you can pull this bullshit with because they believe that since the game is free. Or because they're going to get so much playtime out of it and not have to spend a single dollar, they don't care about loot boxes and all that.
Sure,
and that's stupid and sucks.
But the problem is like that's where what are you going to say, Ev?
I think they give you both options: either pay directly for the thing, or for.
Sure, but guess what they're making most of their money off of is loot boxes.
They do give you the option.
But sure, the options there, which is awesome. I don't want to make it. I'm sorry, I don't want to really make it seem like Apex is the enemy or EA is the enemy, blah blah blah. But what it's happening is it's not EA or Apex. It's us. It's us as gamers because we have a game like Apex who has garnered 25 million players over a week. People aren't complaining about the loot boxes. People aren't complaining about the fact that they can buy power. So guess what that's going to do? That's going to tell EA, who is publishing these games, say, oh, look, here's a game with loot boxes and nobody cares. We can still put loot boxes in games and it's going to be okay because everybody has said it's okay with Apex.
Well, that's one of those things where you can't bet on players to be smart about.
Sure, of course,
well, especially not whenever it's the popular thing. Like right now,
that's the problem.
The popular thing is to talk about how much you love Apex.
It is
Legends.
the fucking fad of video games, so nobody's going to bat a fucking eye at it.
Yeah.
But all it is, and all we're doing, that's where I say it's a duplicitous nature. All we're doing is encouraging EA, saying loot boxes are okay. Now they are. Mm-hmm. because this is a game that we love. So as long as we love the game, we're okay with loot boxes. Where 2 years ago, loot boxes, no matter what the hell it was bad.
Well, I mean, but you nailed the issue on the head across the board, and it's not just with loot passes. I'm sorry, with loot boxes. It's also like, we want to sit here and complain about season passes when we're talking about Call of Duty or Battlefield or Battlefront.
Sure.
But Witcher launched with the battle pass or with the season pass.
Sure,
it was cheaper, but no one complained about the Witcher season pass. People defend the shit out of the Witcher season pass.
Sure, yeah.
And it doesn't matter what the price is. It doesn't matter what the content was. If we all decide as a community that season passes are bad for games 1, 2, and 3, it should also be bad for game 4.
I agree. That's the point I'm getting at. Is it just, if we've decided loot boxes are bad, loot boxes should be bad no matter what. And it bothers the shit out of me, and this could be my Anthem shill coming out, but it bothers the absolute shit out of me that the internet hates Anthem before it even comes out, and they have literally probably the perfect microtransaction structure when this game is not even, it has the worst, and nobody's even batting an eye.
But I think you also nailed that problem too, is that people don't want to pay for their games.
Sure, yeah.
We've conditioned, like with Fortnite and mobile games, we've Dota and all these Hearthstone.
Yeah, or the Heroes of the Storm.
Yeah. But also Hearthstone. We've conditioned a generation of gamers that feel entitled to not have to pay for their games, which I'm not necessarily opposed to.
Oh, I'm not either. The less money I have to spend, the better.
Yeah, I think if Anthem came out and it was free to play, it would probably have way more success than it's going to have.
Possibly.
And
I would say that's accurate.
And I don't think they would. I don't think they would lose that much money in that decision.
But they couldn't get away with this microtransaction. You couldn't get away with the cosmetic only. You might.
I think you could if it was free to play.
Possibly.
I mean, I think they could because Fortnite has.
Yeah, no.
Fortnite doesn't sell power for money.
Buying power. It's like you can just buy a legend.
Pay to win.
It's not necessarily. But you can still buy it with money. But you can buy it with money. You can buy power in game.
That means that Chris, as a player, could jump in Apex and buy all these upgrades.
It's just characters, 2 characters.
But you can still buy them with money. The option to buy them with money is there, which means I am buying power.
I don't know.
Can you earn it?
Is it just characters?
I don't know. Can you earn it in game? Sure, 100%. However, I get the character before you do because I have decided to spend money on it. That's called buying power.
If it's just characters, I don't know that that's necessarily.
That's 100% buying power.
Yeah, but
it's not pay to win. I'm not saying it's pay to win.
Sure, but
I'm saying
would you say that's a
power.
problem with League of Legends or Dota? Or Heroes of the Storm, which is being shut down.
Well, I don't know. Do you have the option of earning legends in League of Legends?
You can earn the characters, or you can
buy them. Then yes, it's still buying power.
They also have at least with Heroes of the Storm, they have heroes that are on rotation. So if you're only a free player,
of course.
League of Legends is the same thing.
This week you can play these characters.
Yes, because and again, so I'm not saying pay to win. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying...
Cool. We've established that.
But I'm also not saying you're buying more power over somebody else. You're just buying power. Instead of earning it in-game, like you can, you're just opting to buy it. Is it necessarily a bad thing? I don't think it's a bad thing. But 2 years ago, it was terrible.
Well, isn't that...
Because that's what you could do in Battlefront.
But also that's what you can do in Warframe. Well, I don't...
You can't in Warframe because you buy...
But you can buy frames.
No, you can't. You can buy the...
Blueprints?
You can buy the blueprints, and then you can go farm for the frames.
Oh, I thought you could just outright buy frames.
No, I don't think so.
Well, some premium... It's the Prime frames.
We really need to get you a mic.
Sure. The prime frames. But
every
again,
time, I don't know if you can hear yourself, but usually when I listen and you talk, I can't ever hear you on the thing.
But again, like I said, I'm not saying it's pay to win. I'm saying you're paying for power because that's what you're doing. You're paying for a new character. You're paying for a new power.
Fair enough. And in that case, I don't like compared to Battlefront 2, where you could literally buy
heroes
power-ups
for your characters.
Yeah.
I would say that's probably the better way to go about it.
Sure, but it's
because I
still
wouldn't
not
be
a-
opposed to if Anthem was free to play.
But it's okay. Sorry, go ahead.
I wouldn't be opposed to if Anthem was free to play. Like, hey, we as players start out with the 3 base frames or 4 base frames. However, I don't know what they're actually. What are the suits
Javelins.
called? Javelins.
Javelinas.
Javelinas.
You start out with the 3 or 4 base javelins, and then you could buy this upgrade, or you could earn it in game.
Sure, but so, and like I said, but when I'm saying it's just it's never an even playing field with buying power. Because and
what
that's
you're saying
the
the problem is that people are giving Anthem shit because it's just cosmetics. Meanwhile, Apex is the fucking darling, and they're selling
and they're
ways that directly affect gameplay.
Exactly, and that's the biggest thing. Is sure, I'm not buying a character that's better than another character, but I am affecting gameplay by giving them money.
Well,
and that's not okay because it's not an even playing field
for a game that is PvP. That's why it's most important,
right? Like Overwatch, you don't pay for the characters; you just get them. Can you imagine if you had to pay for all these new characters that came out in Overwatch?
Yeah.
Oh my God, the shitstorm that would have happened would have been ridiculous.
It's just funny though because like as much as I see where you're coming from, and I think honestly, I think part of correct me if I'm speaking for you, but I think part of the issue is that what you're seeing, like what the thing that's driving you crazy is why do you hate Anthem microtransactions when this is okay? It's not that this is bad. It's just that you don't agree with the amount of flack that Anthem's getting.
Oh, I don't agree with I don't agree
compared to Apex.
It's more I don't agree with the fact that Apex isn't getting flack.
Is getting away with it.
Yes, is getting away with it. Yes.
But removing Anthem from the equation and the way that the public is reacting to Anthem and just looking at it, in the case of Overwatch, if Overwatch was a free-to-play game, I would 100% down with them selling new characters.
Sure, if it was, but it's not.
But it's not. But like let's just and again, even with Anthem, if Anthem was free-to-play, I wouldn't have a problem with them selling javelins. But it's this crazy thing that like you were saying, like we were talking about earlier, it's just there's this disconnect for players when you throw free-to-play on it. I mean, look at a perfect example of this is Rainbow Six Siege. That's a game where you can buy it. You can buy like 6 different editions of it that give you different benefits, and still they'll have a season pass that comes out with characters that you have to buy or you can try to earn. But the people that have the more money to spend at the game are going to get these characters a lot faster.
Right, and that's not fair.
And it's not fair.
When
it's
games
especially
should
not
be,
fair
when games should be fair.
It's especially not fair when there's already a buy-in for the player base.
Sure.
It's especially not fair in the case of like if Overwatch was selling characters at a $60 price point, that would suck.
Sure, and that's the thing is like I completely agree because like Marvel Heroes is a really great example. 100% free to play game. I bought characters in it all the fucking time,
and you had a lot better shit. In that
and
game
I
than I did.
exactly just most players were starting with like Cyclops, and I spent $20 on Magneto, and I was steamrolling people who started with Cyclops, and like, but that's not okay. You know what I mean? It's just it's not. From the time of Marvel Heroes to Chris now, I'm not going to say like I see my mistakes. It's just, it's not fair. It's just not fair. And video games should be a fair playing ground no matter what.
Well, from the viewpoint of a player.
From the viewpoint of a consumer.
What do you think
if I go to Whataburger and I buy a double Whataburger with cheese, whatever it is, and you buy the same damn thing because I'm a Whataburger rewards menu, should I get better Whataburger than you? No, absolutely not.
But not to on my side of things, like I look at Marvel Heroes, and Marvel Heroes is also a unique case because if it had PvP, it sucked and no one played it.
Did it have PvP?
I don't know.
Oh, I have no fucking clue.
But 90% of that game is PvE
Sure.
and group content.
Yep.
So in my mind,
where buying power is more okay.
Well, and that's my whole thing. Like, I don't necessarily. To me, it was never unfair that you had Magneto and I had to play as Cyclops or whoever. Also, I was unlocking characters fairly quickly as a free player. I didn't have to spend a single dime in that game, and I had a lot of cool characters. To me, that's not necessarily an issue as a player because I had a really, really fun game that you were funding.
Sure.
Sure. It's okay that you're playing Magneto and you're steamrolling me because I can play through Cyclops and work at unlocking Venom or Spider-Man or whoever else I wanted to unlock. And I was having a good time and my fun wasn't really affected by the fact that you were playing as Magneto.
Sure.
Except for the fact that like you would make my frame rates drop because your fucking Magneto's crazy. So, but in the case of Apex, I can understand why that's more of an issue because
it's all PvP based.
Well, because it's all competitive.
And that's the thing is the 2 heroes that are available maybe don't have an advantage.
But it's also,
But
why
they-
would you
but they
come out at
could.
launch with 2 characters that are blocked off?
I have no fucking
That's
clue.
another weird
Just
EA
so,
thing.
to spend, so you get people to spend money in the game.
I mean, yeah, but like, I could understand like a month from now them launching 2 characters and being like, hey,
And it being lost,
so the
sure.
first 20 characters were completely free, but now here's 2 characters that we really want you guys to buy to support the game.
Sure.
It's weird to come out at,
You set the precedent though. Like EA comes out and it's like, boom, here you go. Like, here's these 2 characters you had to pay for.
Well,
So now
here-
it's
but
not
again, no
weird
one
when
else
we
is
do it
complaining
later.
about this.
Well,
Like, this is the first time hearing about
but
this.
the thing is, what's really fucking funny is Respawn has gone on record saying, hey, so Apex, everybody knows, just launched out of nowhere. Nobody knew it was coming. Everybody thought Respawn was working on Titanfall 3, and all of a sudden, boom, Apex Legends happens. Respawn has gone on record literally saying, we did not want to announce this game before we launched it because we knew that it was going to get shit on.
And that's exactly what happened to Anthem.
100% exactly what happened to Anthem. And imagine, a month out, they announce Apex Legends. Here's this MOBA. Here's this new Battle Royale game. Here's these heroes. 2 of them are going to be locked behind a paywall. Hey, there's also loot boxes, and you can buy, some semblance of power. Oh my
it would
God.
have been dead before
Can
it
you
came out.
imagine the backlash that would have happened?
Yeah. Well, I mean, but
Where the
that's-
fuck is the backlash now?
I mean, but that's the problem though, because if Anthem had done the same thing, and if we had just been like,
Sure, it would have been fine.
BioWare's working on some secret thing,
Yep.
and it comes out, and a week later we're all paying $60 for it, and that's part of the issue is they have to announce it ahead of time because
it's a
pre-orders
$60 game,
basically
sure,
pay for
yep.
that game. But it had Anthem just come out, it would none of this would be an issue.
But yeah, Respawn literally has gone on record saying we did not announce this game early because we knew it would have been dead in the water, and they're right, and it's because of gamers.
It's also partially because EA is shitty.
I have the more
Are
I
they shitty though?
They
Or
are.
can they-
yeah, the more I
No,
think,
no, but, like-
the more I think about this, like I agree with you, but at the same time, it's like it's gamers that are ruining this for people.
I mean,
It is a
again,
vicious cycle.
It's shitty because they can see the pattern and they know how to manipulate it.
everyone should be informed before you form an
Sure.
opinion on something. You should
100%.
play it.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
a reason why I don't sit around talking shit about Fortnite.
Sure.
Because I haven't played Fortnite. I don't have an opinion on it because I haven't played it.
Sure.
So before we leap to judgments about things, we should all play them. However, you can't remove the fact that this is a company that has a shitty track record with
Sure.
the way that they handle microtransactions. And it's not just Battlefront.
Sure.
It's every year of Madden, every year of NBA Live, every year of FIFA.
FIFA's the worst, man. I agree.
It's does it suck that players are going to instantly assume your game is awful? Yes. As Respawn, the developer, a developer that I respect, that's made great games that I love, it's sad that they can't announce a game and just have it come out and be a success. However, this is the hole that EA dug. This is EA's fault.
I agree.
Gamers don't trust EA because EA cannot be trusted, and it sucks that gamers don't want to try something out and form their own opinion, but this is the shitty world we live in.
I agree.
where we just have to hate something because they make mistakes.
I agree, but there are 25 million players playing Apex Legend right now
Yep.
that aren't looking at it that way.
Well, but that also-
and that's the duplicitous nature I'm talking about. That is where it's gamers' faults. It is the gamers' fault for killing Anthem before it even came out, and it's also the gamers' fault for praising this game that is literally the same thing we were fighting against 2 years ago.
Because they formed an opinion on it. And that's the problem with Battlefront. If you look at the way that Battlefront 2, and the way that people complained about it, and the views that people got on articles complaining about it, and all the people that are out there, I said it at the time, the problem with Battlefront 2 is not microtransactions. The problem with
it's a
Battlefront
bad
2 is a
game.
bad game.
Sure.
Map design is awful. It's rushed. The heroes aren't fun. The balancing is incorrect. Those are the 4 major problems. When I sit here and talk about Battlefront 2, I don't talk about the microtransactions
Sure.
because they are the smallest problem with that game.
Sure.
But the majority of people that sit around and bitch about that game have no idea because they've never fucking played it.
Right, they bitch about the microtransactions and the stores and the buying the power and all this other stuff. And I like Everett said, it's a vicious cycle of just like toxicity and shittery. And you're right. Everybody in this room is right. You're 100% right. But if you're going to shit on an EA game, shit on every EA game.
Yeah.
That's
Well, but
that's
you know
my
what?
point.
But
Well,
that's
it goes back to what we started this whole podcast with, the equality in a sense.
Sure,
Like,
if I hate fucking what do I hate? I hate In-N-Out. I just don't like their burgers.
the fries suck.
At
me.
they're better than Whataburgers.
Anyway.
I hate Whataburger fries.
Californian Texan. Here we go. But I hate In-N-Out.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean I'm going to go there and order the one thing that I like. I just hate it. I don't like any of it. And it would be ridiculous of me to go to In-N-Out and look for something that I like because I know I'm not going to like it. It's just fucking
Yeah.
I hate it. I hate you, Internet. I fucking hate you sometimes.
But also, to be fair,
God
like,
damn.
I'm gonna play Apex Legends because I think it looks cool.
No, sorry, Everett.
I want to give it a shot. I don't think I'm gonna play a
You
lot of
should.
it. I don't think I'm gonna play a lot of it. I don't think I'm gonna become like a pro Apex streamer.
Sure.
But it looks. I like Titanfall. I like Respawn. It looks interesting. I like the art style, and I want to give it a shot. And I'll probably play it once and enjoy it.
All of that. I bet Apex Legends is a fucking hell of a game because I know Titanfall 1 and 2 were fucking awesome.
Well,
I love Titanfall.
Literally,
You should try it too.
I do not want to take anything away from Apex Legends because that game looks fucking great. The map looks great. The design looks great. Everything about it looks amazing. I do not want to seem like I'm not shitting on Apex Legends because I think it's a phenomenal fucking game. What I'm shitting on is gamers and their perspective of the fucking video game industry because half of them don't understand it because they don't want to take the time to get educated in it.
Also, real quick, fun fact: I learned that for free-to-play games on at least PlayStation, you don't need to be subscribed to PlayStation Plus to
that's
play them
nice.
online.
Oh, that's pretty nice.
So Warframe, Fortnite, Apex.
Oh, interesting.
I saw someone post that on Reddit.
Is it a
I think I
legal
knew
issue?
Well, I would guess it is because if you're saying a game is free to play on your store, but you're telling people that they need a $10 subscription to play the game, that means that it's not really free to play. So you probably can't advertise it as free
That's
to play.
interesting. I don't know. Yeah, that's cool.
I mean, you wouldn't be able to get into parties and shit
Yeah.
because the party
Oh,
functions
good
wouldn't be
call.
available. But
Well,
you
but-
could at least play the games.
Or you can just fucking, get on Discord.
While we're on
there you
the
go.
subject of EA, we'll go ahead and do our 2 EA stories first.
It sounded like you said our two gay stories.
I meant to say EA.
I know you did, but
Well, one of them is a gay story. EA and Respawn have confirmed 2 playable characters in their new free-to-play Battle Royale game, Apex Legends, are members of the LGBT community. As originally reported by Game Revolution, in-character profiles on the EA, quote, Meet the Legends page.
Shielded
Oh,
Fortress.
no, it's commas. Commas were throwing me off.
Okay.
As originally reported by Game Revolution, a couple players on the Meet the Legends page, Shielded Forests, this character, Makoa Gibraltar, is confirmed to have dedicated his life to helping others after his parents rescued, quote, he and his boyfriend, end quote, from a mudslide while the couple was out joyriding on their father's stolen motorcycle. That's the most metal fucking gay story I've ever heard. In an interview with Rock Paper Shotgun, Respawn community manager Jay whatever also confirmed the technological tracker Bloodhound, whose real name, age, and homeworld are unknown, as either, quote, non-binary or at least non-specified in terms of gender, end quote. Also, let's go back to the biggest issue with this as the gay person sitting here. It doesn't matter if your characters are gay in a game that doesn't have a story. It also doesn't matter if you're EA or any other company that has games with lead protagonists that have never been gay. Guess what? It's really easy to make one character out of 20 gay and then fucking wave an LGBT rainbow flag and say, we're supporters, we agree with you. Okay, we'll make a fucking Need for Speed game or a Battlefield game where there's a main protagonist that's gay. Like, let's not celebrate this. This isn't celebratable.
But what if Wraith is a Christian and she doesn't believe in gay people?
I don't know. Just don't fucking put gay. Like, it's fucking ridiculous.
I agree with you, dude. But that
Name one gay character in World of Warcraft. There's not. There's not one.
I bet Anduin's gay.
I hope he's gay.
I bet he
the
is.
fucking king of the good
Yeah,
guys,
I bet
or
he's
the
gay.
good guys quote. Being gay, that's awesome. But let's not sit here and pretend
I
like.
also bet Sylvanas is gay.
No, she's trans.
Oh, that's right. You're right. No, I bet she's gay.
He was about
I
to
bet
agree with you.
No, I bet
You could be
Sylvanas
a
is
gay trans person.
I bet Sylvanas is gay.
Yeah, if you're a trans guy and you like guys, you're a gay guy. Anyways, Anyways, but let's not pretend that Blizzard's a fucking hero.
Sure.
Because Tracer and Soldier 76 are lesbian and gay, respectively. Like, let's stop. Why
Can't
are we
you just say
reporting on
gay?
this? What?
Can't you just say gay, or do we have to
know.
differentiate lesbian and gay? Okay,
Even
I
he
want to
doesn't
know.
know.
I just want to know.
I don't believe in lesbians. I think they're. I don't understand. Like, who has the penis in the relationship?
Sure,
I don't get
have
it.
no fucking clue.
But,
I just want to know. I
but
want to be PC.
let's stop celebrating it. Let's not. Like, you know what? When EA makes a game with a protagonist that's 100% gay and everyone has to play this protagonist, that's when I'll fucking celebrate the fact that they made a random character and a random multiplayer free to play game where
Sure.
the's no story gay.
I'll agree with you. I'll agree
My,
with that.
like my viewpoint on it is just like what like it's not news. Like this isn't a story.
Well-
like if a character is LGBTQ it's somewhere in there. That's
Well-
fine.
well-
Just don't bring it up,
well,
and
no,
then that's
here-
whenever you've reached the level of like
here's-
equality that you want, right?
No, but
like
here's
if nobody
sure,
points it out,
Sure,
I'm not going into every game I play
Sure.
and like, oh, the main protagonist is straight.
But here's the issue, right? It's the same people fighting for equality also grew up in a generation where everybody got a participation trophy, and they have to be acknowledged.
Hey, we got those participation trophies from you.
And they have to be acknowledged. So, I guess from a politically correct standpoint, they're doing the right thing by acknowledging.
No, but-
and I think that's what other than you, I don't want
They're
to
doing the
single you
marketing
out.
thing.
They are, and that's what they're right.
It's a marketing decision.
It 100% is, and like I don't want to single you out or anything, but other than you, the community at large loves the fact that these two characters are freaking gay and or non-binary.
Again,
it's the greatest thing in the fucking world.
It goes
because
back to stupid consumers,
they're
though.
acknowledged.
Like,
Of
let's
course
be
it
real
does.
for a second.
Of course it does.
Let's be real for a second. You know, one of the things that like we see here, like Blizzard, there's a gay Soldier 76 and a gay Tracer. Is anyone else talking about the fact that the majority of the people on that fucking roster look like they're white, and even the ones that aren't white kind of look like they're white?
And
in fact, the only person,
the giant gorilla sounds white.
yeah, the only two people on that cast that are even like noticeably not white are fucking Lucio and maybe Farah if you squint.
What about that Sylvania lady?
There's Doomfist.
Oh yeah, Doomfist. You know what? I'll replace
Doomfist is not.
Sylvania?
Yeah. So-
Sylvanas?
So let's
No, that's
let's
not-
fucking take Farah out
Who's
of
the
there
girl
and
with
say
the
Doomfist
portals?
and Lucio. Like it's
Symmetra.
Symmetra. She's totally not white.
maybe she just kind of looks like a white
She
person.
looks like a white. She looks like a white person with a tan.
He looks like a white person with a tan. Exactly. But like, fucking, they have gay characters. Oh man, the roster in Apex Legends looks pretty diverse. You know why it looks diverse? Because it's way easier for EA to defend a marketing decision where
Sure.
they have a multiracial cast than it is if everyone was white.
Sure.
And that's not to say that like we shouldn't have diversity in games, but let's not pretend like EA is doing us a favor by acknowledging that there's more than just white people out there.
But Apex Legends is Bay right now, so nothing it
It's not-
does can be wrong.
It's not just Apex Legends. It's League of Legends, Dota,
Sure,
Apex,
sure.
Overwatch, every fucking game with a roster of characters, Street Fighter. Like, let's just acknowledge the fact that like these companies don't care about diversity. They want it to be at the top of your news story, and they want us to pull our little like gay pride flags with a little like fucking toothpick and wave it around like they actually did something progressive for society. Meanwhile, the next fucking game with a main protagonist from EA is not going to feature a gay person.
Well, Trey, didn't you know diversity doesn't matter if nobody notices it? Like, if we're being honest, like that's kind of their viewpoint on it.
I still believe that there's that issue with Witcher. I still believe in that issue because it's a fantasy world, so like it doesn't matter what color people are. I believe that's a problem in like Westeros with Game of Thrones. Dorne kind of throws it off and makes it okay. It's a fantasy world. People can be whatever color you want. But you know what? At least when that issue came out, CD Projekt was like, this is just the world and the story that we want to tell.
Sure.
You can defend that decision.
Sure.
And then guess what? They made an expansion with a bunch of kind of tannish white looking people. Great. Good job. At least they took
look more like Indian,
like
Hindu.
if you squint. Like at least that there's like some creative thing behind it, but
Sure.
it's so duplicitous.
Yeah, it is. It's 100%, man. I just can't get over how just hypocritical the gaming community is.
I think that could be expanded to most of
Sure.
the world.
Keep going, Trey. The world.
And other EA news. On Twitter, Anthem lead producer Ben Irving revealed details on the post-launch content release schedule for Anthem, which will include the continuation of Anthem's story, the addition of guilds and leaderboards, an expanded progression system, new missions, events, and difficulty settings, and more. A full breakdown is available on the official Anthem in-game website. Anthem's post-campaign narrative will kick off on March 2019 with an update called Act 1, Echoes of Reality, with Act 2 and 3 to be detailed at a later date. The Echoes of Reality update will include features including a new Cataclysm event, a new stronghold, and some quality of life improvements. Once players have completed the campaign, they'll be able to dig their teeth into challenges, contracts, free play, and strongholds, which will comprise a large part of Anthem's endgame. Challenges will be available on a daily, weekly, and even monthly basis, giving players several ways to obtain crafting materials and currency. Legendary contracts will also be made available for more difficult multi-part adventures. Also central to Anthem's endgame are Cataclysms, limited-time world events, which will alter the world and introduce various hazards, including powerful creatures and extreme weather. Contracts will allow players to increase their reputation with different factions, granting them access to crafting blueprints. Whew.
Anybody who worried about Anthem's endgame can stop.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Maybe not to it. Maybe
It sounds
not
like a lot to do, and
Yeah.
I hope it turns out to be a lot to do, and I hope it's fun and worthwhile.
I think
I like that. I like that it's not too vague. Like it seems like very clear that they know kind of like here's our end game. Like it wasn't like a general like, oh well, you can do. There's some stuff you can mess with the difficulties.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
it kind of talks about a little bit in detail.
Yeah, I think, and I think I've mentioned it on here before, but I mentioned it to Trey in the car. The best part about Anthem's endgame is even if this wasn't coming less than a month after launch, there's still more. Are you pulling shit off the couch? Or is
No,
it
his
your
pants.
Like, he's ripping up the couch. Even if this didn't come out within the month of launch, there's still so much to do in endgame because Anthem implements that difficulty system.
It's the Diablo style.
Yeah,
gameplay,
like,
where
you know,
play through the content one time,
and then you play through it if
and
you
then
get the drops.
You get the best gear you can get.
Yep.
Then you play through on the
next
higher
one, yep.
difficulty and get better drops, so you can play on the higher difficulty. There's always a reason to go back.
and that makes every single bit of Anthem's content viable. Where like you've got something like Destiny, where it's like once you're done with the campaign, you're done with the campaign. There's no reason. Once you're done running there's literally no reason in the world to run strikes. Why would you ever go back to do any of the old things in Destiny? You don't, because you don't need to. But in Anthem, you know, everything is in game, which is actually, it's like Diablo, which is really fucking nice. There's almost no end to it.
It's also not restricting in-game fun based off of how many people you can get in a party and on mic.
Yep, that's true.
That's the biggest problem with Destiny is that like, oh, you know, raids are the basic end game of that game, and if you don't have a fucking mic and 6 friends, well, guess what? You don't get to play.
Yeah. The only problem I see with this is the cataclysms being time based. Unless cataclysms are like on a good rotation, if you miss a cataclysm, you could miss something. I hate the feel that it's called what I call it, feeling of missing out.
Yeah.
I hate that feeling. It's in Destiny. Just fucking embraces the feeling of missing out.
That's would be my worry too, because that's the whole problem with Dreaming City. I would
Exactly.
hope. I don't know specifically.
The Whisper of the Worm quest, all of it.
I would hope, or fucking Black Armory.
Yeah, but
all of Black Armory. I would hope that the way it would work is you just have a really, really big loot pool.
Sure.
And that the cataclysms are basically changing up the environment so that there are more interesting ways to earn things from the same loot
Yes,
pool.
and then like cataclysms can happen like on a weekly or maybe a bi-monthly or a monthly rotation. So if you did miss out playing Cataclysm month 1, that's okay because the same loot pool will be in this Cataclysm. Maybe the Cataclysm's not exactly the same, but there's no fear of missing anything. And that's my biggest worry about that.
And maybe the rewards for going through a cataclysm are titles or skins for your armor. Or
exactly.
whatever.
And it'll come back again at some point.
But something that's not going to directly affect gameplay.
Exactly.
That's because
that's my biggest worry.
I'm cool with, because you know it would be fun. You know, this week it's fucking snowy outside, and there's a huge snow blizzard, and so that's going to change the enemies that are available and the things that you do. Okay, cool. Next week it's there's a thunderstorm happening, and the ground's shaking and things are breaking apart. New enemies are there. Like that's a really good way to get me back in your game and invested, because that means that every week I'm presented with the same zone with different challenges.
Sure, yeah, exactly.
Which was why Dreaming City was a smart idea.
Dreaming City was great until you got to fucking month 2 of the same loop.
cycle.
Yeah, the same. Oh, that was real bad. I am looking forward to legendary contracts though, because they're, from what I understand, is they're basically like mini strikes, and they're different every single time you take one.
Wow.
That just sounds fucking great to me.
Man, 9 days, and we'll be able to sit around and talk about it.
If I was on Xbox,
That's crazy. So today's
2 days.
so it comes out on the 22nd, right?
22nd.
Yep.
Today is
Technically, it's Thursday night at 9.
so it comes out on Thursday.
Yeah.
It's a weird day for it to come out, and we'll be playing D&D.
Maybe not.
Yes, we will.
Damn it.
Also,
Thursday night at 9, but servers go live Thursday night at 11 o'clock.
okay.
No, go ahead. I won't be here. I won't be. Yes, I will. Damn it.
I mean, I almost killed you last week.
That's
Yeah,
very
you
true.
got to give me another shot.
Technically, I almost killed myself.
Technically, we'll tell. Maybe if we have some time at the end, we'll tell that story. Ahead of its first,
Really badass though.
God, I can't talk today. Ahead of its fourth quarter earnings report, Activision Blizzard has started the process of laying off members of its staff. During the call, it said the layoffs will affect approximately 8% of its workforce, or nearly 800 employees. According to a report by Kotaku, a note has been sent to Activision Blizzard staff by Blizzard President J. Allen Brack, stating, quote, staffing levels on some teams are out of proportion with our current release slate. This means that we need to scale down some areas of our organization, end quote. The press release accompanying the Q4 earnings report states Activision Blizzard will actually increase the size of development teams on its, quote, biggest franchises, enabling teams to accelerate the pace and quality of content, end quote. I don't think this is a problem.
Meanwhile, the week you weren't here, we reported on Activision's new CFO getting a $15 million bonus for signing on with Activision.
That's why I feel like this is a problem.
$15 million bonus, Trey, and they're going to get rid of 800 employees?
So, first of all, I feel, of course, as always, when these things happen, we always say
It
this.
sucks.
It
Sure.
sucks. We hope
Yep.
you all find new jobs and,
Land on your feet.
we hope everything works out for you. That aside, I think it's perfectly normal for a business the size of Activision to say, hey, a lot of our divisions are way bigger than they need to be. I would hope that in these places where they're planning on scaling up employees,
They're moving.
that they're moving
I
as
agree.
many people as they can move.
I agree.
However, but this, I don't think that bonuses and all that other bullshit are the problem here. I think it's just a matter of we're a company that needs to restructure the way that we're
Sure.
making games, and we need to make sure our resources are going in the right places. If we have this mobile division that really hasn't done anything significant in the last year, why do we need 50 employees there when we can get away with 20?
Sure.
Well, they also just cut ties with Bungie too, so I would imagine that.
Well,
Some
but
of these
I don't think
employees
any
are tied
Activision employees ever worked on a Bungie title.
Maybe part of their marketing
Maybe
team
they
did,
might
though.
have, huh? Oh, yeah, maybe.
I mean,
Oh, you're right. You're 100% right. High Moon is Activision. Yeah. So sure, to an
And maybe
extent.
Bungie will just buy High Moon.
That'd be awesome. But that's the thing. Yes, I guess from a logical standpoint, from a business, you're right. You're 100% correct. You are.
Mm-hmm.
However, man, the fact that 2 months ago they literally gave their new CFO a $15 million bonus,
Yeah.
and now
On
you're
top of
now,
a $900,000 salary.
yeah, on top of his 6-figure, almost 7-figure salary, and now you're getting rid of,
Yeah.
either moving or transferring whatever 800
Letting
people.
go.
Potentially 800 people could be losing their jobs when that $15 million bonus just could have been funneled into something else to keep these people's jobs.
Maybe, but
Just $1 million of that.
Sure,
according to
seriously.
their earnings reports, they're still at a net profit of something like 1.21 billion, which
Sure.
is down from last year's net profit. I don't think, but it's still a profit.
Yeah, it's a $1 billion profit. Yeah.
I don't think this is a money issue.
I don't think it is either. It just looks bad.
I know it looks
That's
bad,
what I mean.
but
I don't think it is either.
I think if you sit down and think about it, though, this is probably good for the company.
Sure.
And again, I don't think it's a money issue. I would hope that what they're doing is like, okay, we're really gonna up development at Sledgehammer. Here's some job openings.
Sure.
Apply.
I agree. I 100% agree with you.
I get the way it looks, but I don't think those two things are necessarily related.
I agree, but for uneducated gamers, like we have established already,
Yeah.
it looks real fucking bad.
Hopefully, our listeners aren't those gamers
No,
anymore.
they're not. Our listeners are badass. Even though I called all of you assholes earlier, I didn't mean. I didn't mean the twin.
The internet sucks.
the
not the
internet
twin
sucks,
stickers.
except for you guys, exactly.
Not the twin stickers. In an interview with CNET, Sony Interactive Entertainment Worldwide Studios chairman Sean Layden explained why Sony plans on skipping E3 this year. here, Chris. You're going to love this.
Okay.
Layden spoke about Sony's early involvement in E3 and how in the 90s the show served both retailers and journalists. He feels these focuses have ultimately changed and can now be served better elsewhere. Quote, now we have an event in February called Destination PlayStation where we bring all our retailers and third-party partners to come hear the story for the year, end quote. I'm sorry, said Layden, quote again, I guess I could just cut that out. They're making purchasing decisions in February. June now is just too late to have a Christmas holiday discussion with retailers, end quote. He went on to discuss how gaming has changed, but E3 has not. Quote, so retail has already dropped off, and journalists now, with the internet and the fact that 24/7 there's game news, it's lost its impact around that. So the trade show became a trade show with a lot of trade, or without a lot of trade activity. The world has changed, but E3 has not necessarily changed with it. And our decision to do fewer games, bigger games over long periods of time, we got to a point where June of 2019 was not a time for us to have new things to say. And we feel like if we ring the bell and people show up here in force, people will have expectations. Oh, they're going to tell us something, end quote. He also went on to say, I forgot to put it in here, he went on to say that E3 really should just be changed into a consumer show rather than a trade show.
Yeah, 100% agree.
And I think that's what we've all been saying too, since like last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that one of my predictions for this year? Or was
It was your prediction last year.
Last year, yeah. Yeah, no, you're right. I do love this. This is great. Like freaking Sean Layden. Literally, there's a nail and a piece of wood, and he's got a really big hammer, and he's fucking nailing it on the head.
There it is.
Extremely well, and he's 100% right.
Although it's so, to me, it's so silly that that retailers are now in February making plans for holiday 2019.
But I think that's a good business practice.
Maybe
preparation is always good. I
guess.
Is
it though for the gaming industry?
I don't know.
Like every other week, there's a new game being delayed.
Yeah, I don't fucking know. Like Apex Legends shows up out of nowhere. So how do you prepare for that? Even though it's free.
Well,
to
you
play,
don't need to because it's free to play.
Yeah, but hypothetically speaking, if it wasn't free to play, retailers would not have had time to hang up their little banners on their GameStop windows. So every time I go in, it's like, Kingdom Hearts and Anthem are coming out. Pre-order now. Like,
also, as an exclusive digital game buyer, I also fully believe that retailers are completely unnecessary in the grand scheme of selling games.
They are. Unfortunately for me, because I like physical. They are.
Well, it's just a middleman. It's just.
Well, because
I can get it from Amazon.
You're just setting up a place to go and pick up your game.
But think about it, in a fully digital focused economy of games, fucking Anthem could come out with no announcement and it wouldn't affect anyone.
Sure. You're 100% right.
It doesn't matter.
I like all of this. I've said this from since last year, from the whole E3 talk. Sony needs their own thing. Xbox needs their own thing, and Nintendo already does their own thing. They have a Nintendo Direct tomorrow, apparently.
Yep. Fucking irritating. Thanks for making us change the day of the show, Justin.
Piece of shit.
You're welcome,
motherfucker.
Wait, when would we have done it?
Thursday, we usually do it
like
Thursday. Always.
We used to do Thursday.
We used to do Thursday before D&D, and then you're all,
I have a job now, and I can't get off work till 5:30. I'm so important.
Even though I do 30 minutes of work and then get on YouTube all day at my job, or race whatever the hell you raced that one day you told us about. It sounded like a shit ton of fun.
Oh, big wheels.
Yes. Anyway, I really, really like this. This is for this month. Are they doing this PlayStation Directation?
Well, it's not. It's not open to the public.
Destination PlayStation. Sure, but we're going to get news out of it.
I don't think we will.
So it's just going to be for retailers and journalists, and we're not going to get anything from it?
Does it say it's for journalists?
I don't know.
It just says retailers.
I'm pretty sure it's just for retailers.
It wouldn't be the first time that a retailer has accidentally leaked something.
I'm sorry. So I might have heard that a little wrong. So it's just for retailers, and and third-party partners to come hear the story for the year. That doesn't mean they're going to
doesn't say anything about.
Announce what they're doing for the year.
Is it probable that they could invite? That we'll hear things from it. I probably yes.
I hope so. I want to know what Sony's working on now, because their big games are out. I'd love to know what they're working on.
But wouldn't it be even more unreliable, because it's happening in February?
I don't know.
You know?
No, I don't fucking know.
Well, shit. People swear that Last of Us 2 is coming out this year.
Yeah.
No.
So
yeah,
there's like a 50-50 chance that comes out this year.
The fact that they're not going to E3. because they're like, I don't think
Well,
we'll have
that's
anything
but,
big.
but
aside from-
that's what I mean. Like when so
But aside from so like let's look at the games that they have coming out this year.
Days Gone and
Days
fucking
Gone.
Last of Us.
Possibly Last of Us. I think
Possibly
Dreams
Last of
at this
Us.
point. Which Dreams? Will I ever play Dreams? No. Do I think that I'll
Do you support Dreams 100%?
yes, it's
Yeah.
fucking crazy. It is
Yeah.
so cool, and it makes me mad that I am not creative at all.
Sure.
Do I understand it? No. Do I enjoy looking at the things people create?
sure.
Yes.
It's fucking crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
Like someone made like a whole first-person shooter with like a really creepy atmosphere in that game. It's fucking
Somebody remade
crazy.
PT
Yeah.
in Dreams.
Yeah, it's so crazy. But like, I think Dreams is probably going to come out this year, if not like
Be cool.
be heavily marketed
Sure.
this
So
year.
let's go with those 3 games.
Days Gone, I have.
April 22nd, April 24th, something like that.
It's like the
whatever it
first
is.
week of April.
Yeah.
I'm sure Days Gone is going to be fine. But I don't think it's going to meet their quality, and it doesn't seem like Sony's supporting it in any real way.
They are, because they've sent out. So this week they sent out like fake wedding invitations for the main character and his love interest, and it's supposed to be like I think it's a reveal party that people are being invited to.
Yeah, but I mean, the amount of support that it seems to be getting from Sony is not equivalent to the support
Sure, of course
that
not.
Horizon, God of War, even
Sure.
Detroit got. And those
I
are
think
just
it's
3
getting,
games.
I think it's getting more, as much or maybe more than
don't know, man.
Detroit. Not definitely not the big games.
I'm sure I'll play it and love it because I am going to play it. And
It's also Sony Ben. Sony Ben's really good.
yeah, I'm sure it'll be fine. But I don't think that this game is going to be. Aside from Last of Us, my whole point being, I don't think that any of their games that they potentially have coming out from their first parties this year are a big enough deal to have a show about. And in fact, one of them is going to have been out by June.
Sure.
With Last of Us, you don't need that at a show. You could literally just say, hey, in July, we're going to throw a tent up somewhere. We're going to show off some Last of Us and have interviews and have the guy come and play his fucking didgeridoo and
so that was going to be
guitar,
that was
and
gonna-
everything was fine.
That was going to be my question is, so they're doing this for retailers so retailers can plan out their year for their marketing. So is that how we're going to hear about these games? Am I going to walk into GameStop one day and that's how I'm going to know the release date for Last of Us 2? Or are they going to do other like specifically game-based events? You know what I mean?
I would expect if this isn't open to the public at all, that they go to their retailers and say, hey, so this year we don't really have any big games planned. You know, you guys have already have your stock of Days Gone. Dreams might come out. We haven't decided yet. Whatever, probably that's what they'd say about Dreams. But
so
they're like,
those are retailer events so you guys can plan.
Yeah.
However, but we're not going to give you enough information so you can plan.
we'll just all mark you for 5 copies of Dreams
Yeah,
because
sure.
let's be real, even if we had a release date, that's what you'd probably ask for.
What the fuck?
But you know, the biggest thing that we have coming out here, our biggest push from our side of Sony is going to be Last of Us.
Sure.
We're going to have a big announcement in the summer. And then as soon as that once we have a specific, we're going to do it on July 1st day.
Sure.
So on that day, you guys launch your pre-orders and you push a big marketing push, and here are your incentives for doing it.
But that's Last of Us. Let's go 2020 and beyond. If Sony has 5 games lined up for 2020 to 2027, with only this event and not going to E3, I guess they use PSX to do it to announce these
Probably,
games,
yeah.
right? Yeah. So I don't know.
Or if it's a big, like, at this point, Sony's IP is almost as big as Nintendo's IP.
Sure.
And the only thing that they need to prove to anybody about is new IP. If they come out and say we have Bloodborne 2, Last of Us 2, at this point, I feel like Death Stranding is on the same level as these games. Horizon Zero Dawn 2, God of War 2. If you have all these games that you are going to announce, I don't think you need to put them at an E3.
Sure.
I think you can have your own event for them
I agree.
and make a big deal out of it and celebrate this one game.
Sure, I agree.
And that was the thing about last year's Sony's conference at E3
It was
that
all Last of Us based.
well, but the coolest part about that was the Last of Us part.
Sure.
When everyone walked in that tent and we're sitting there like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
And then the trailer played and they're in the same tent.
Sure.
That was cool.
Sure.
But once they got out of that fucking tent and did the stadium thing, it sucked ass.
Yeah.
Sure.
So why not just do something like that, but do it on your own terms?
Yeah, it's I still ask the questions like, well, now how, other than PSX, which I guess is a super viable way to announce these games, but PSX is in what, December?
Yeah.
Like, are you going to announce a year's worth of games at the end of the year prior? You know what I mean?
That's my point, though, is that, just do your random events when you have something to talk about.
Yeah, but
Do
yeah,
your random, like, you have PSX.
for big enough games.
You have PSX, and then when you're ready to announce the Last of Us 2 release date, you throw a fucking party, invite
Yeah.
a bunch of game journalists and retailers,
Sure.
and you're like, hey, Last of Us 2 is coming out on this day.
Sure. If
Now
any-
watch the guy play his didgeridoo.
Sure. I just, from a,
Enjoy.
I guess, and if anybody can afford that, it's 100% Sony. But from just a logical standpoint, it's like, why have 4 to 5 different events spread out throughout the year instead of just announcing everything in one shot?
Because it's cheaper. Fucking
Do you think it is?
Stage space, booth space.
Oh, okay,
for
okay,
E3
yeah, sure.
is fucking expensive.
Sure, you're probably right. You probably are right. It
Yep.
may be cheaper. I don't know.
I mean, Rooster Teeth used to talk about just booth space at PAX, and they're not fucking Sony or Microsoft.
Yeah.
They'd spend a shit ton of money on that. How much money they have to be spending in the millions?
Yeah, possibly. I don't know.
Sony,
Or-
Microsoft.
I really wish
Capcom?
I kind of wish I would have went to PAX this year, at least for a day, so I could look at the tabletop stuff. That's all I cared about.
Yeah,
I didn't
apparently
care
they were
about
selling a
any of
bunch of dice there.
Oh,
it. Yeah, I didn't
we
care
just
about any of it.
we just missed it too, right?
No, not just.
Yeah, about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. I just
like,
just
just
a
missed
day. I just wanted to go to the tabletop stuff. I don't care about it, and literally couldn't care about anything else at PAX.
I have a surprise story I forgot to put in here.
Oh snap!
It's another Sony story. After months of dragging it, this is from The Verge, by the way. After months of dragging its feet, Sony finally started enabling crossplay between the PlayStation 4 and other consoles like the Nintendo Switch and Xbox One late last year with Fortnite, followed by Rocket League in January. But those two games remain the only titles with cross-console play, and some developers are calling out Sony for playing favorites with which games it is and isn't allowing to have the feature. For its part, Sony's Sean Layden claimed in an interview with Game Informer this week that the company is open for business when it comes to cross-console multiplayer, adding that, quote, all it takes is for publishers and developers who wish to permiss it, end quote, and that interested developers should work with their Sony account manager to get the ball rolling. But outside of Rocket League and Fortnite, that change doesn't quite seem to be happening. Following Layden's remarks, the CEO of Chucklefish Games took to Reset Era's forums to comment that his team had encountered issues with Sony for their recently released Wargroove, which already supports Xbox One, PC, and Switch crossplay. The team apparently made many requests for crossplay, both through their account manager and directly with higher-ups, all the way up until the release month, but were told in no uncertain terms that it was not going to happen. According to Chucklefish, enabling crossplay would only require them to, quote, literally, end quote, toggle a switch and have it working. And then Hi-Res Studios also says that they had issues with that with Smite Paladins and Realm Royale, and Sony playing favorites with other people. So, yeah.
Sony, do I think PlayStation is probably the best console on the market? Yeah, but that doesn't mean they're the best fucking console makers or console IP holders or whatever the hell it is. I still can't even change my damn name on PlayStation Network.
You brought that up on Twitter the other day, and I totally forgot that was the thing.
It's supposed to be early 2019. We could do that.
Well,
we're halfway through February and still can't do it.
You're almost a quarter
I think
into
we
it.
determined when we talked about this that you weren't probably going to do it.
Yes, I was.
Because the amount of shit that
gonna
you
do it.
lose?
No, the possibility of losing. Not like...
But the possibility of losing stuff was stuff from like before April 2019.
Yeah, but that's also when I was...
That's 100% of your stuff.
Also pertaining to Destiny, because I think Bungie was one of those things like, we're worried if this happens, you'll lose shit, and I don't care about Destiny.
But it's not just Destiny. Like, you could potentially not get your Division Platinum because Division isn't supported on this. You could lose your Division Platinum and your Division save.
I just want to change my name. That's all I want.
Yeah, I think this is it's really this could potentially be bad for Sony in the long run.
Oh, it will 100% be bad for Sony in the long run.
I think it's going to be it's obviously, as we discussed last week in depth over and over, it's going to be a big push for Xbox. In fact, I still believe that Xbox is eventually going to push itself out of the hardware market. And it'll just be real interesting to see Sony continue to fight this battle, because as much as, we talked about maybe before the podcast or on the podcast, the whole issue about Anthem coming out early and, the difference on other platforms because of Origin Access. Origin Access doesn't exist on PlayStation because PlayStation doesn't want a gaming service like that to be on their platform.
Yep.
And that is already having an adverse effect on people that want to play EA games. And while EA should play ball with everyone because it's hurting consumers and not PlayStation, at the end of the day, Sony could just as as easily have said like, "Oh, Origin Access is allowed now."
Sure, yeah, 100%. It's on both. It's on both sides, right? But it is a lot of it is Sony being like, "No, we're okay."
Yeah,
Well, that's the way they always are.
Just wait till there's crossplay on Apex Legends, and then it'll be clear that they're picking favorites.
Yeah, possibly.
Well, I mean, when
I would bet that that's going to happen before.
When Apex Legends goes crossplay, it's going to be one of those games that are going to be easily pushed through. It's at the same level as Fortnite and Rocket League in terms of player base.
With 25 million players in a week, Sony will gladly push that through.
They'll gladly flip the
Yeah,
switch.
100%.
But no one cares about Wargroove because no one's playing it. No offense, Chucklefish.
Or Realm Royale, what the fuck is that?
Smite.
Or Smite, I don't even know what that is.
It's MOBA.
It was a
with
MOBA
the
that was
gods.
big like 2 years ago.
Yeah, it's no one's getting mad about this because no one's playing those games.
And it's just Sony being
obstinate,
pretentious.
There you go, that too.
Yeah.
All right, quick saves. We only have 2 in quick saves today, but I think they're great. During NetherRealm's Mortal Kombat 11 Combat Cast livestream, the company revealed that Cabal will be back on the roster, but also confirmed that we won't be Shaggy from Scooby-Doo making the list.
How did that? Where did that even come from?
Community manager Tyler Lansdowne, that's a great last name, shut down fans' dreams, saying, quote, "Shaggy will not be in the game ever. Sorry, dead meme."
Yeah, I don't understand how that even started.
It's just
is it sad?
It's like a thing
Shaggy from Scooby-Doo. Why would he ever be in Mortal Kombat?
It's like a Reddit meme where
first
people...
of all, don't disrespect Shaggy like that. You can't withstand his power.
Yeah, you can't. You are literally the problem with the internet.
That's not true.
Yes, you are because
I understand the internet.
It's not
old man.
It's not a matter of it's not a matter of understanding. You're part of the mob. You're part of the hive.
I don't give two shits about Shaggy.
It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
I was being facetious.
It's just
a meme.
It's almost like I don't think anyone seriously wanted Shaggy in the game, but you remember like leading up to Smash Brothers, there was like all these people that are like, we want Waluigi and Shovel Knight, although Shovel Knight should be in that game. But we want all these characters, and people were like getting really mad and butthurt when Nintendo was coming out and saying like, no, these characters actually aren't in the game.
Yeah.
I think in a lot of ways this was almost like a satire on that, where the community's like, we want Shaggy in the game.
I guess.
No one really meant it.
But when your community developer has to like make a press release or even say it on a fucking developer stream, it's like it's not a meme anymore. It's something that they took serious, or that's something that people were taking serious.
Probably,
I just don't get it.
It was probably more of a thing where people were reporting on it, and then old men like you that don't understand the internet were like taking it seriously.
I guess, man. I just don't fucking get it. Why would you? Who would ever ask for Shaggy in a Mortal Kombat game?
Well, because I don't remember. They're owned by the same property. Like I think WB.
Yeah,
WB
sure. Okay.
So that's why they were like.
So do you want Bugs Bunny into a freaking Mortal Kombat game? Because they're also owned, the Looney Tunes are owned by WB.
Don't give people idea, Chris.
Do you want fucking
Chris?
Michael Jordan from Space Jam in fucking
They don't
Mortal
own
Kombat?
Michael Jordan just because he was in Space Jam.
Is that how that works?
They own Michael
Fine, I'm
Jordan.
sorry. Do you want some random basketball player with a Space Jam jersey in fucking Mortal Kombat?
But
I also don't want
I want
like
Geralt
I don't
in
want
there.
Jason and
WB published
Alien in there.
Yeah, sure, but you were
What
also
do you mean
not.
you don't want Alien in there?
Hold
That's
on,
fucking
hold
cool.
on. You were also not the Mortal Kombat demographic. Sorry, buddy, but the Mortal Kombat demographic thinks Alien vs. Predator is probably the greatest movie ever made.
Top 10.
Yeah, at least.
Top 5 easy.
I actually really like Alien vs. Predator. It's a dumb movie, but it's fun.
There's people who don't realize that those aren't like that's just like a crossover. It's not like
I don't need your fucking movie pretentiousness.
It's canon.
Okay, I'm
It
just letting
is.
you know that
So
you're
shut
not
your fucking mouth.
you're not the demographic for Mortal Kombat fans.
well, you're not the demographic for Shaggy memes.
I am 100% the demographic for Shaggy memes because that was my cartoon growing up.
Not this Shaggy.
The whole sorry, is this the Matthew Lillard Shaggy?
Someone
Shaggy,
fucking
because
made
I don't get that one.
Someone made Shaggy as a deity for D&D.
And
I
it's
just don't
a
get it.
full character sheet.
Yeah,
too.
it's
I
like
just
a
don't
full
fucking get
sheet of like how to be a cleric for Shaggy.
But he's just it's a fucking just baked dude who gets his dog bake and thinks the dog is talking to him.
it's a millennial.
There was a movie where like he suddenly
Broke
got
Chris, you
powers.
just can't hear him.
He broke. It's a whole thing.
Anyway,
It's an old meme that resurfaced hard.
My
last
God.
up, During an interview with the directors of Obsidian's newest game, Outer Worlds, the two revealed that the game won't be nearly as long as fans hope it will be. Quote, people think it's more of an open sandbox of a game. Like, oh, they're going to be able to go anywhere on any of the planets. No, people are speculating, like hundreds of hours of gameplay, and no, end quote. One of the directors compared it to the size of its most popular game, saying, quote, it's probably roughly comparable to maybe like a KOTOR 2 size game, maybe a little bit smaller than that, end quote.
Good for them. Good for them.
Yeah, not every game has to be a 100-hour game.
Well, no. Yeah, sure. But good for them.
Yes, they do.
No, good for them for fucking squashing gamers' dreams. This is what we talked about before, right? The SpongeBob thing at the Super Bowl. Nobody explicitly said the SpongeBob thing was going to happen at the Super Bowl. People just assumed it was. And this is the same thing. People assumed or assuming that Outer Worlds was going to be this giant, huge fucking 100-hour game. And good for the developers for being like, hey, that's not what this is.
Yeah, but
this is different than the Super Bowl.
It is
but
not
I
different
do
than the
agree
Super
with
Bowl.
you. I agree with the sentiment.
But like 1% of the people have probably read that and are still thinking it's going to be like a 1,000,000-hour game.
They're totally lying to us. It's going to be like Borderlands. I'm going to be able
Also,
to play this game for years.
The more Outer Worlds I see, the less interested I am. In it.
Dude, I'm telling. That's why I said when we first saw it, I was
Just
like,
looks
I'm
like-
not so sure about this.
It just looks like a kind of a cheap knockoff of Borderlands.
Yeah, it looks like it exactly.
Even the name sounds like Borderlands. Outer Worlds.
Outer
Borderlands.
Worlds, Borderlands could have been wall sides, wall ground.
You're so good at
Are you
this.
having a stroke right now? What's happening?
Let's go through our credits and then we can talk about how you almost died in D&D.
Oh, okay.
If you guys like what we do, rate, review, and subscribe to us on your favorite platforms for podcasting, Google Play Store, all that jazz.
We had someone write in.
Oh shit!
Oh, hurry up,
Justin.
hurry up, Mark.
It's a quick question.
Okay.
Yeah, this from
you got to be on this shit, man.
I forgot.
We already started the
Could
ending.
have put it in the
I
show
know.
notes.
Gosh.
You have access to the email too.
I unsubscribed because I have like 6 emails attached to my phone. And it's
Anyways,
too much.
yeah. So this is from Mark. He says, "Hey guys, Mark here. Big fan of the show. Hope everything is going well. I was thinking
It's
about
not.
your golden.
100% not.
I was thinking about your golden oldie twin sticky category, and he did refer to it as a twin sticky.
damn
It's a
it.
thing.
Golden oldie.
Thank you, Mark.
Yeah, like the. I think he meant oldie but goodie.
Oh, okay, cool.
And was considering what mine would have been for 2018, and the one that stuck out was Darkest Dungeon.
Ooh, that's a good one.
I was
That's a
wondering,
damn
have
good
you ever
one.
played it, and if so, what did you think of it?
It's one of those indie games that I should absolutely be obsessed with, and I was for a while. It's also one of those indie games like Rogue Legacy that is so fucking hard that it doesn't matter how many hours I put into it. I'm never
Yeah.
gonna beat it.
Yeah, so I played this game on Steam when it was it Steam or was it PlayStation?
Well, it came out on Steam first, and then PlayStation like a year ago.
I can't remember what I played it on. Anyway, I played it and I played for like maybe 10 hours, and I love hard games. I fucking love Dark Souls. I love Bloodborne, but taking that level of difficulty and putting it into a like Japanese style turn-based combat system, I just couldn't deal with it. I couldn't do it.
Well, but, like,
I'm not taking anything away from the game. I thought it was phenomenal. I love.
Let
the
me
fucking
ask you a
art
question
style.
though. Like the part about that game being hard, that is not an insult to that game. It's just like it's like a feature, but it's a feature that I know that I'm never gonna get past.
Sure.
Like Darkest Dungeon is still this darling in my mind, in spite of the fact that I know that I'm never gonna beat it.
Sure.
And it being hard doesn't take anything away from it.
No, 100%. Yeah, no, I 100% agree with you, but I think there's me growing up in the Japanese RPG fucking golden era, like Japanese RPGs have a level of difficulty that were like perfected in the early, late 90s, early 2000s. And now you have the same kind of combat system. I'm not calling Darkest Dungeon a Japanese RPG, but it's very much the same combat system.
Turn-based.
Turn-based, and, the dungeon crawling aspect is really what makes that game hard. But, like, adding difficulty on top of difficulty on top of that, then on top of the turn-based strategy, and then it was just too much for me. It's just way too much.
The thing that I love about that game the most is so there I'm totally skipping on the name of the tabletop game, but there is a tabletop
Munchkin.
game. No, there is a tabletop game that's
D&D, Pathfinder.
Nope. You want to keep going, or are you just going to do it when I talk?
Star Wars. Damn it! What is
Nope.
that new one? Rebellion.
It's the one that's based in fucking Cthulhu guy. Why is his name escaping my head?
Call of Cthulhu.
Oh, it's like H.P. Lovecraft.
Oh yeah,
Call of Cthulhu. There you go. Call of Cthulhu, where the insanity and all that is sort of a part of that game.
Oh, that's the game.
yes. Call of Cthulhu.
I was like, that is a book.
It's a tabletop tabletop RPG like D&D, but it's all based off of insanity and all that. I really love that idea for Darkest Dungeon, and it's something that I wish. With Dungeon of the Mad Mage, I wish it was something that was put into there that was like an optional rule set for running that game.
Like levels of insanity.
Yeah, maybe not to the degree of hardness that it is in Darkest Dungeon.
Sure.
But I really like that idea of like, oh, you guys are going down into this 23 level dungeon. What happens to a person's mind when they're seeing a lot of this crazy shit that's going on down there? And how does that affect them? And also like that gives the players a reason to be like, okay, well, should we leave? Should we stay?
How do you deal with insanity?
It's such a deep and complex system that I wish that Wizards of the Coast had taken it and played with that rule set a little bit by themselves.
Sounds like something a DM should do.
Yeah, but you know.
Well, but
come on, Trey, you can do it.
But even
that
in
sounds
D&D,
that
like,
sounds awesome.
Honestly, though, like how many people at our table would like that?
I would. But
I know you
but
would.
I'm weird.
I think I would venture to say a majority of us would like it.
Maybe.
Because I'm a fan of like if you're not taking enough rest, you're getting exhausted. If you're staying out in the cold, you're doing all that stuff.
Taylor and Rich would like that.
I think Taylor would.
I don't think he would because he's going to be the one that goes insane first.
But Taylor would love that. You don't think Taylor would embrace going insane?
Depends on the repercussions of going insane.
Does Taylor ever care about repercussions about anything?
No, I guess not.
Mark, you know Taylor. Does Taylor ever care about repercussions?
Yeah. But it's one of like it's something I could play with as a DM, like totally. It's DMing D&D has taught me that like the places where D&D lacks and the places where I need to think about it, they just take so much time that I get why they skipped it, but I wish they had just figured it out.
So you don't have to have to put the time in. Sure,
on top of everything else I need to think about, why do I need to sit here and make faction sheets for everyone when it's a system that you guys introduced? Fucking break it down a little bit more.
Sure, I get it.
Which is why the guild also, to people that play D&D and like doubt this book, everyone who is interested in having a faction system in their game should read Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica. It's actually really fucking good about the way that it breaks it down. Unfortunately, it's in Magic the Gathering land, and I don't really care about Magic the Gathering land, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there you go. Darkest Dungeon.
Hey, thanks, Mark.
Thanks for writing in.
If you guys want to write in.
I kind of want to change mine. What did I say my golden oldie was?
Oldie but goodie.
Oldie but goodie. Did I say Division?
I can't remember.
I kind of want to change to Final Fantasy 15 because I've been playing it. It was really good.
Yeah, but you didn't play it in 2018, so it could be your oldie but goodie this year.
Okay, that'll work. That's fine.
Hold on to that.
Yeah. If you guys want to send in your own question, which you totally can do, go to or email us from your favorite email service, and the email address is twinstickradio@gmail.com.
Or just do like Taylor and tweet at us the dumbest question in the world.
What did he tweet at us?
He said, "Who's better at FPSs and why is it Justin?"
It was his words, not mine.
Which is why that conversation started as like Justin is not better than us, and Justin was all, but you haven't played first person shooters with us. It's like I don't need to. I know that at least this side of the table alone is better than you.
What first person shooters do you play with Taylor?
Just Overwatch, right?
With Taylor, yeah, but I mean, I like first person shooters. That's
well,
what I grew up with.
First person shorts.
Shorter.
This is not me talking shit about you as like a person. I don't feel like you can be good at Overwatch and not be good at first-person shooters.
Well, I don't consider Overwatch a first-person shooter.
Yeah, exactly. Like there are so many different things in Overwatch.
Wait, what?
That
I don't consider it a first-person shooter.
But you're in first person and you're shooting guns.
Yeah, but it's more about hero abilities and all that.
That's like saying
like the guns.
That's like saying Destiny's not an RPG.
Destiny's not really.
Destiny's an RPG.
It's not really an RPG.
It is an RPG.
Destiny.
I would argue that Destiny's a first-person shooter over Overwatch.
Destiny is as much an RPG as Overwatch is a first-person shooter. Like, do they have DNA in common? Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I guess I'd call.
But
Overwatch
the
a first-person
RPG aspect
shooter.
is not the most important part of Destiny, whereas like the first-person shooter part of Overwatch is not the most important part.
Sure, whatever. I don't know if I agree with that, but I'm not gonna die on that. I'm not gonna die on that.
Anywho,
hill.
but that wasn't a real question, so we're not gonna.
It was a real question, and the answer is Everett.
Oh, that's fair. I was gonna say Chris, but it is Everett. Look at him; he's humble. This is why you want Everett to be your winner. You don't want your winner to be someone who's like, "Oh, I'm the best." But yeah,
I never said that. That was Chris.
I never said I was the best. I said Everett is.
False. You initially said you were the best.
I said I'm better than you, which is 100% true.
Chris was very sweet and said I was also better than Justin, so that means a lot to me.
You haven't played a video game in like 3 months.
I'd still be better than you, bitch.
That's it. We're having a twin stick competition.
I could be down for that.
Who gets the most kills in Apex?
Let's play a good game.
Wow.
Oh, burn. Shots fired.
Shots
over
fired
there,
at a game he's never played.
Halo 2, the quintessential.
Actually, no,
first-person shooter.
100%. I was going to say, if we're actually going to do this, I think we should have the utmost fair playing ground in either like Reach or Halo 2.
Halo 2.
Halo 2. If we're picking up this 2, I would pick Halo 2.
I would have said Reach and SWAT. Like, that is the utmost, like, fucking even playing ground in the fucking world because it's all DMR. I'm sorry, it's DMR. All DMRs,
Nope.
no shield.
Halo 2, it's battle rifles and pistols.
Well, I know, but in SWAT and Reach was DMRs and no shields. So one headshot, you're dead. 2 body shots, you're dead. Yeah. Like, that is the most even playing field in the fucking world. Doesn't matter. That SWAT, dude, SWAT and Reach was good. Anyway, sorry.
I think SWAT. I like SWAT better in Halo 2 and 3.
We'll set it up. We'll make it a whole Olympics.
The DMR just kind of like ruined SWAT a little bit because the range was so long on it.
That's what made it really good, though.
Yeah, but it was like playing SWAT with snipers.
Yeah, but well, sure, in certain maps, I agree, but in like close quarter maps, the
DMR was tough in close quarter maps.
It was.
That fucking scope is crazy.
But that introduced scope.
The scope on the DMR.
Oh yeah, there was a scope on it. You're right. I never used a scope.
All hip fire.
I honestly didn't because it's Halo, right? Halo
Yeah.
didn't have ADS for the longest
Before
time.
Halo 5.
So even in Reach, I just never used it, especially since the reticule for the DMR was like. It was so tiny. It just all you had to do was put it on his head.
Like. That's what I loved about battle rifle because battle rifle, like I felt like you had a better chance of hitting it close quarters.
Sure,
but also like you could use a scope on it at long quarters. It's just that like you also had a higher chance of missing because it wasn't really a long range weapon.
But what I was saying is in Reach, the DMR SWAT like invented lane shooting, and that's my favorite type of PvP. Is when I love lane shooting. I love firefights. I hate PvP where it's nothing but who can get closest and who has the best twitch, who has the best reflexes. I hate PvP like that. Destiny's like that. Destiny's all who can get to closer with a shotgun and be done. Like I hate it. Yeah. I love lane shooting because it actually takes some sort of semblance of skill. Well, anyway,
I agree. If you guys like what we do, please rate, review, and subscribe to us on Google Play Store, iTunes, wherever you listen to your podcast, Spotify now. You can follow the show on Twitter at Twinstick Radio or on Facebook at facebook.com/Twinstick Radio. We are all on Twitter as well. I am at Darth Trey. Chris is at Short Change Hero with a 3 instead of the E in Hero. And Justin is at Justin T. Lopez. The show is produced and edited by Everett Jordan. Follow him on Twitter at, actually just follow him with your brain and life because he doesn't use Twitter.
there you go.
Yeah, there you go. Instead of following Everett, subscribe to the podcast. And the show's theme song is by Connor Manning, who does things through Downstream Studios. Hire him to do your theme song or whatever by tweeting at him at Connor13, one in Connor, 13 spelled out, or by going to downstreamstudios.com. Hit the mic at the top of the homepage and type in Twin Stick Radio for 10% off your new theme song.
Don't do that.
Now they're going to go there.
No,
there's
not
not even a mic on there.
If you follow Justin and I on Twitter, you can see us make fun of Donald Trump quite often.
Yeah. I do it in a nice way.
I don't.
You don't.
So, Chris, I almost killed you.
Yeah, well, no, like I said, I think I almost killed myself. However, I think I would have been okay going out the way I did because it was super badass.
Yeah, it was pretty badass. So
it was badass, but like I feel like had I done that, you would have called me an idiot.
You can call him an idiot. It's not like
I don't think I would have because if you did it for the reasons I did, it was 100% tactically sound.
So the whole thing is, which I learned something as a DM, right? So we're running Dragon Heist, but last week there was a new supplement released by some of the guys that worked on Dragon Heist and a guy who worked on another supplement, and it made some pretty significant changes to Chapter 2. And I really liked his changes because I think they're way more interesting than what was originally in the book. So the whole setup is that this guy spoilers if you're playing Dragon Heist, but I won't
No,
spoil
don't give it
names or
away.
anything.
Oh, okay. I was like, no,
For
we're playing
you
it.
guys have already seen it.
Yeah, okay.
This is us.
One guy comes running in, 3 guys follow him, and then someone else throws a fireball. And after the fireball explodes, a bunch of people die. This guy comes and pulls something from the pocket of the main guy he was trying to kill. However, in the original scenario in the book, and in the scenario in the supplement, you guys weren't supposed to see that. I changed it up because I wanted you guys to have a little bit more information to start your investigation.
Also because this guy rolls natural 20s like fucking candy.
We need to get him like dice loaded badly.
But in a bad way.
Yeah. Just to even the playing field. But anyway.
Like a person's first try at weighted dice, like that's like the product that we get.
So I have a table with all the players on it. I rolled on the table and I decided who would be the one to witness this. And so after Bryn witnessed everything, she called out to the party and explained what was going on. Everyone in the party, except for Chris, decided to run up to the front, and Chris ran upstairs. And I'll let you take over. But basically, from this point on, the guy that threw the fireball then summons a fire elemental.
Sure.
2.
I made it 2.
2 of them, yeah.
Oh, yes.
I made it 2 because of the size of the party and the amount of damage that you guys do. 2 fire elementals were nothing.
Sure, very true.
So the setup is that this guy's grabbing out of the pocket, and there's 2 fire elementals standing behind him. Chris, what did you do?
Well, so to set it up you set it up fine, but so in Waterdeep, the party gets this thing called Troll Skull Manor, and it's a 3-story basically manor, and it's got a turret on the top of it. So you're probably talking 4 stories up. There's an actual like turret, and for people who don't know what a turret is, it's a tower that is used for some sort of defense, right? It's like an archer's tower basically. So. Kat's character sees all this happen. Everybody rushes toward the front door. And Trey does a really good job of setting it up, saying, hey, there's smoke everywhere because of the fireball. And it's not just like it's black. There's black smoke covering everything. Things are on fire. It's complete chaos outside of Troll Skull Manor. So my first inclination is like, how can I see what's happening? I know I need to get super high, because if I can get above the smoke, I can at least sort of see down into it. So that was my first inclination. Go to the turret, look down. What do I see? Trey says, roll perception, natural 20. It's like, how do you got to an extent, it's all based on luck, but as DM, you got to reward a natural 20 in some way, shape, or form. And so he says, well, you got up there fast enough. You also saw this black hooded entity take something out of, or take something from another black hooded entity laying on the ground and take off away from your manor. And so my first thought was, okay, I see this guy running away. He's taking maybe something valuable. Maybe he's the guy who threw the fireball in the first place. I have no idea who this person is, but apparently he took something of worth to him.
Also, it was something that you all had a suspicion about what he took.
Sure, exactly.
Because you've had hints about what he took for quite a while.
So I am, we'll say, anywhere from 40 to 60 feet in the air.
Yeah, I said you were 60.
60 feet in the air. Nobody else has seen this entity. They saw what all happened, but nobody saw this entity's take off in the opposite direction of Troll Skull Manor. And so my first inclination is like, I've got to stop him. Shooting into a black cloud, because my character uses firearms. Shooting into a black cloud, I didn't even, somehow it got brought up. I never meant to shoot, but you would have said you're going to shoot with disadvantage.
Yeah, because of the smoke.
It makes 100% sense.
You had talked about maybe shooting like his leg or something to basically
something like that to incapacitate him exactly. Or something. Yeah. I don't think I ever declared I was going to do that, but our DM's awesome enough to say, hey, yeah, you're going to have disadvantage. It's like, okay, if I know I have disadvantage, I need to stop this man. So I said, okay, well, then I am going to jump from the turret and I'm going to aim for him and land on him. Mm-hmm. I roll another nat 20?
Well, so I forgot what I rolled. You're going to take 60 feet of fall damage. Yeah. And you're like, okay. And I was like, okay, that's 66. You're like, okay. So I go, okay, well, go ahead and roll an acrobatics check to see if you land. or how you land, like
Sure,
if you
yeah,
can
something
succeed.
like
And I
that.
was like, and I'm going to roll damage. You rolled a natural 20,
Yeah.
so I was like, well, then I'll half the damage. So instead of taking 26 points of damage, you took 13
Yeah, I only
points
took
of
like
damage.
12 or 13 points. Yeah.
And you landed on the guy.
Yeah.
So
So I land on this dude, and my number one, my idea paid off. I stopped this thing. I stopped this entity from running away. However, what either I didn't pay attention to enough or just didn't get from Trey's description is that the fire elementals that he summoned were literally right in front of us. I thought, because we didn't have the battle map at the time either, I thought before he left the square where the fireball went off at, that's where he summoned the elementals. So I thought I had a good 60 feet of space between him, the elementals, and me. I figured I'd had two rounds of movement before they could even get to me. 15, since they've had 50. Anyway, I figured I had time. And so I did this thing, and then I do the thing, and I was like, yes, I fucking stopped this guy. And again, I still don't know the fire elementals are there, which works well because maybe my character didn't see him in the
maybe you
smoke.
don't see him in the smoke.
And so I land on this guy, Natch 20, he falls prone. I use my turn because I was first in initiative.
Yeah, so at that point I was like, okay, well, if this guy doesn't get away, this shortens our campaign significantly, which is fine.
Sure.
If the party can stop him, that's how it goes.
Sure.
And I got to make it fair for you to stop him. I was like, but I also want to give him a fair chance of getting away because there's a lot of cool shit they'll miss out on if they do it. So I was like, okay, so here's what we're going to do. Chris, you're going to roll into initiative with the 3 enemies. And then after this first round of combat, the rest of the party can roll in. And we'll say that you guys are 25 to 30 feet away from the nearest enemy.
Yeah.
And so Chris rolls in.
So now the battle mat comes out too.
No,
so,
the battle mat hadn't
I'm
come
sorry,
out
you're
yet.
right. I roll in. I roll like a 22. What did you
You
roll
rolled
for
a
initiative?
23. He rolled a 24.
24. Okay, I rolled a 23 on initiative because I'm a rogue, and that's just how rogues fucking work. Also, I just roll high. That's just it never ends. Anyway, I rolled 23 on initiative, and so I'm like, okay, Trey goes, okay, take your turn. So it's like, okay, I land on the guy, use half my movement to do like a super fucking cool roll into a 3-point landing and use whatever I have left action wise, foot on hand, and I actually took a shot into this dude's arm.
No, you held your action.
Oh, you're right. I did because I made a perception check and you said you could sort of see him doing something with his hands. And I said, okay, I put my foot on one of his hands, the hand that he's using to do things with. And I hold my action just in case he does anything. And next turn was his. And, I didn't roll a high enough perception, but Trey was like, in his other hand, he's doing this. It's like, shit. So I take the shot into this hand, do some damage to him. And right about this time, Trey's like getting the map ready and we roll it out. And all of a sudden, everything comes on the field. And these 2 fucking fire elementals are like 10 feet away from me. And I'm like, oh, fucking shit.
So he shoots the guy in the arm. And I was like, and he goes, did I stop him from, because I was like, he's about to cast a spell.
Yeah.
And he goes, did I stop him from casting the spell? I was like, no. So he uses the spell to summon a field of tentacles. And part of his thing is that he has pretty high level spells, but by the time that the party finds him, he's supposed to have used his spells. At this point, you guys have just met him, so he has all his spell slots.
Sure.
So I had him cast a 6th level spell, and it puts these tentacles out, and they can grapple you. You take damage when you're first in the space, and they attempt to grapple you. So he takes a shot. The guy takes the damage. Doesn't stop. He rolls a concentration check, and he succeeds. Not that it mattered because the spell still would have gone off, and then it would have failed. Chris takes some damage from the tentacles, and
not much, like 2 or 3 points, something like that. Because I saved on a throw.
Yeah, you saved on the dex throw, so you didn't get grappled, and you rolled a high enough dex where I was like, you're able to like maneuver away from it, while still like holding him down. Then the fire elementals had a turn.
Man. And that's the thing. Justin was even, and I had to have misunderstood because everybody else was like, "What are you doing?" type thing. And even afterward, you're 100% right. If I knew the fire elementals were that close, I never would have made that jump.
From our point of view, it was literally like, fire elementals. And then you just see your character just fly in from above us and just land on this dude. And I was just like, what is he doing?
Sure, yeah.
Because in my mind, I was like, because later on you explained your reasoning behind it. And I was
Sure.
like, well, I mean, you could have just said, stop that guy. And
but
then
it
someone
wouldn't
could
have
have
worked.
dashed.
Literally wouldn't have worked.
Dominus is a big guy.
But nobody else saw him. So I go, stop that guy. And you guys are like,
Which
what
guy?
guy?
Yeah.
It just wouldn't have worked.
Right.
So the fire elementals, there's 2 of them. They get 4 attacks, and I think each of their attacks do 2d6. First fire elemental has a miss and a hit.
Yep.
He does 2d6 damage. I can't remember how much he does. The second one, I roll both attacks, and he succeeds on both of them. First hit knocks you down.
Yep.
Second hit
Was 2 death saving
2 death
throws
saves.
because I was prone.
So now this is the end of the first round, and this is where we're at.
Yep.
Fire elementals have like this aura around them. So if you're within 5 feet of a
At the
fire
start of
elemental
my
at the
turn.
start of your turn,
Yep.
you take 1d10 of damage.
Yep.
And technically you're on fire, so you should take another
Which would
d10
have killed.
damage.
Which would have killed me.
And you wouldn't have had a single death saving throw. And all that.
However, our fucking monk of a lifesaver.
Well, before that,
okay.
I realized I'm about to kill Chris. And that was like, when you're balancing combat like this, like 2 fire elementals should be a lot for a level 3 party. But for the size of this party and everything, I knew it would be a tough fight. But I also knew that like usually in a round of combat at level 3, you guys do anywhere from 70 to 90 damage in one round of combat, which is most of a fire elemental's health. So I was like, so maybe 2 or 3 rounds of combat, these things will go down, and it's not a big deal. And they really can't do a whole lot.
Also, to be fair and preface this, is our entire party was like, "What is he doing?" Because this is very
This is not. We thought you were going up to the turret to shoot at things.
This is
no one expected you to do 100%
100% un-Chris-like. However,
so I was not expecting that.
Sure.
So I'm freaking out. Like I thought, if anyone were to do it, I thought it might be Rich or Taylor, and at that point it would be like that's expected, and they didn't think it through it. I don't think anyone would be mad that they died. I don't even think they would be mad if they died.
Oh shucks.
So I go, everyone else needs to roll into initiative, and I'm freaking out because I didn't want to kill anyone. Like it wasn't supposed to go down like this.
Sure.
So I'm like walking away from the table, like pacing back and forth. We go through the initiative count, and in order for Chris to survive, someone would need to have gotten to him and healed him.
Which means they have to roll higher than a 23 initiative.
And Everett rolled a 24.
Yep.
Max. It was a natural 20.
Yeah. Roll a natural
that
20
was
on
that
his
was his
fucking-
max initiative.
So literally, I mean, you talk about these stories at D&D tables, and it's like, this is a fucking story that we may tell for the rest of our lives. How, you couldn't have rolled anything higher. You just couldn't have. You had to roll a natural 20 to save me.
You had a
and
5% chance of rolling that.
Yeah, there was a 5% chance to do that, and you were able to save us. And again, though, from the outset, it's like, it's a very un-Chris thing to do, and it is. But it was not an un-Voss thing to do.
And that's what we were sitting there in between, and we said that. We were like, what the fuck were you doing? He was like, that was in character. And we're like, no one is arguing that. I was like, but Chris, I've been playing D&D with you for a year. And that is what you did is a Gareth thing.
Sure.
That is something that I would do as a player.
Sure.
You have never done anything like that before.
Sure, but
I
also
thought he wanted to die.
Yeah, out of all the people I expected to do that, you were the last one.
Sure, but also to be fair, too, up until Voss, which is the character I'm playing in Waterdeep, most of the characters that I've played have been fairly selfish.
Well, and that's the thing though about that's the thing about what you did is I think it's really easy. It's really easy to say like what you did was stupid, but
sure.
But at the same time,
and I would agree too. In the circumstances that we're in, how I understood it, it wasn't stupid. In the actual circumstances, it was extremely stupid.
But there's also something to be said about like playing your character.
Sure.
And I think that's the flack that Taylor gets. Taylor does something, he goes down, you're like, well, of course Taylor went down because he plays this game recklessly.
Sure.
It's like, well, but all of Taylor's characters are reckless.
Yeah, sure.
So when Taylor's characters do a reckless thing, no one's surprised.
Sure.
And it's like the same thing when Ev had gone down in that fight in the sewers, when he used his action and to dash, and he got 60 feet in the middle of 4 goblins, and 3 of them had bows.
Sure.
I think the thing that surprised me about that is not an Everett thing to do. Like, I would have never expected Everett to do that.
But again, that was also some sort of miscommunication. Everett didn't realize any of them had bows, which
it also fits for Haggis, though.
Sure, yeah, it does fit for Haggis. And that's the thing is, like, I told Trey before the save, before Everett's save, I told Trey, it's like, I'm okay if Voss dies. Mm-hmm. Like we're good. There's without giving anything away, there's things that are planned, and I'm okay with Voss being dead. I'm okay with it. It's a big deal. It sucks, but it's not that big of a deal because Voss jumped from that tower because he just saw somebody kill 11 people, and Voss's biggest motivation is the fact that he was oppressed as a drow. He was a slave. He was oppressed, and everything was taken from him in his life. Seeing 11 people die, and that guy did it. Of course, I'm going to do everything I can to stop him.
Well, and see, for me, like, anytime I make a character, and I don't know why I do this, but this is something that has just come up every time I've made a character, is I've always come up with, like, a final line that I want to say if I'm about to die.
That's weird.
It's weird, but it's like, but it's come up. Like, if Cal is about to die,
Don't
like,
say,
no, but I'm just saying, like, I know what he would say. Same thing with, like,
what if Voss killed Cal?
Like, I mean, if I don't see it coming, then I'm not going to say anything.
No,
I'd be dead.
I just did it. Well, I just want to hear what you say. What if Cal never dies? I just want to hear what you say.
No, then it's...
Damn it.
You literally told him not to say
I know
it,
that.
and now you're
but
like,
now I
say
want to
it.
hear it.
But same thing with Brahm, and like
Sure.
like everybody has like these
was
like death
Brahms?
lines. I ended up using Brahms kind of in the story.
Oh, okay. It
But-
must have been not that cool.
Well,
'cause
but
nobody-
that,
No,
that's
it
the
was
thing,
the
though.
it was
Like,
the whole like family revelation.
Oh,
thing.
okay.
He was going to realize that before he died.
to be fair, like, you know, at this point, I've killed 2 PCs and almost killed Chris. and
Who'd you kill? Oh,
I killed Blee
Taylor.
and I killed Akuda.
Yep.
He came back.
In the case of Blee, like, Rich really wanted Blee to die. I had no intention of killing him. And with Akuda, too, I killed both of these characters on accident. And really, both times, the players were pretty gracious about it. Like, you know, no one's really, like, gotten mad at me for killing a character or getting close to killing a character. But it doesn't... It's one thing to kill a character in a combat that's long and that you know, someone may have made a mistake or just something happened and it went down and it was a fight and it was a deserved death.
It's different when you kill when you almost kill or kill a character when it's not supposed to be a deadly encounter.
Or when it's just like it's an accident, you know, like when
they jump
this
off
is
a roof.
Well, but this is a shitty thing to say, but like, you know, in the case of me killing Akuda, the amount of health that I thought Akuda had was higher than what he actually had. And I think I rolled a natural 20 on the attack that downed him. And the thing with that was, like, had I known his health was so low, because I fully believe that DM should do this, I would have flubbed the roll.
Sure.
Because I wasn't trying to kill anyone.
But also as a DM, you have every right to ask where everybody's at in HP.
Yeah,
Before you even take your turn.
Well, and I didn't think about it because you guys are really good at communicating that. Because usually, like, some people would call this metagaming. I don't. I think it should be a part of everyone's game. But before Bren's turn, she'll usually look around the table and go, hey, like, how's everyone doing? Do I need to heal?
Yep.
And
even if we do need healing, she still attacks.
Yeah, and Akuda hadn't had that thing. And the thing with Akuda was, like, we talked about this. I rolled the exact damage I needed to roll to kill him.
Yep.
Like, the chances of that happening are even lower than 5%.
Well, no, it is a 5% chance because you critted.
Well, but it's not even just the crit. Like, if I had rolled one of the die, because I think it was like a D6 and a D8. But if one of those numbers had been one lower, he would have been fine.
Sure, but even if you didn't crit, he would have been fine.
Sure.
And that's the thing. That's the biggest thing is I think if I'm not mistaken, before you attacked Taylor, he or Kat or I looked at Taylor and said, "Hey, are you good?" And he goes, "Yes, I'm fine."
Well. Didn't I kill him with an opportunity attack?
Yes, you did. But you also rolled a nat 20.
Yeah.
That was the thing that I don't think anybody was at fault. I don't think Taylor made a bad decision, even though now in retrospective, we knew Taylor doesn't know that you can disengage as an action.
I was just about to say that.
Which is pretty amazing that he didn't know that after, 6 months of playing over here. Anyway.
Never come up.
Yeah, I guess it never came up. But yeah, we've talked about this before. Mm-hmm. Nobody's at fault in Taylor's death or Akuda's death, right? Mm-hmm. Nobody was at fault. The nat 20, if anything, is the thing that was at fault because we did ask Taylor before you took your turn, "Hey, are you good?" He said, "Yes, I'm good," because he was good. Mm-hmm. Except he was not good against a nat 20, which nobody expects.
Yep.
I guess we should, but nobody really expects a nat 20.
Yeah.
So...
Well, that's that thing about, like, when we go, I'm trying to figure out a thing for retainers and side characters because the more I'm looking at Dungeons of the Mad Mage, it's like people are gonna die.
No, we'll be okay.
We need to be prepared.
We'll be okay.
Fine.
I hope so.
This guy's playing Dungeons of the Mad Mage. We'll be fine.
Just got to get through Dragon Heist. I'm really excited to get through Dragon Heist because I think
I am too.
I think part of the thing with Dragon Heist that I like is that it's very RP heavy, but it's less technically heavy than Dungeons and Mad Mages. So earlier when we were talking about like exhaustion and rest taking and eating and all that, like those are things that don't really come into Dragon Heist, but that's what Dungeons and Mad Mage is minus the insanity.
Sure.
And I'm excited to be in that place where it's like, there's a story here, but also it's about exploring this and figuring out what you need to do to get to the next level and all that.
It's gonna take forever.
That's okay. I'm 100% okay with that.
So
I'm looking forward to the story inside in the Underdeep. Oh, what is it called?
Undermountain.
Undermount. I'm excited for that story.
I'm excited because I've never done a dungeon crawl, so it'll be different.
Have you never done a dungeon crawl?
No.
I mean, you'll do one this week.
No, you won't.
No,
Are you? Oh, you're not going to be here.
I'm the reason why.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Because you decided to do Valentine's Day on Valentine's Day, which
spend
is
time with your
literally the worst
significant
idea. Literally the worst idea ever.
Debatable.
Dude, there's so many people.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Is this your first or second Valentine's Day with Bree?
Second.
Second? Okay, never mind. I was going to say if it's your first, then I definitely understand because you want to make that one special. But.
Yeah, this is Whitney and I's.
So this one just
Yeah, so this
doesn't matter.
Like,
I mean, this is Whitney and I's third.
30th.
And I think we did do something on the first Valentine. We did it on, but then it's like we both don't like people. We both hate crowds, and we both rather take, instead of a day, we'll take 2 to 3 days to celebrate Valentine's Day. So why celebrate it on the day of when you have an entire weekend to celebrate it? And there's less people. God, dude, I can't tell you how many Valentine's Day dates I've been on where it's just like you're waiting at a restaurant for an hour, or you're fucking.
Oh yeah, no, I made reservations.
You're stuck in traffic. Even with reservations, you can barely talk to the person because it's so fucking loud. Because so many people are in wherever the hell it is. Even if it's like, like a Myron Steakhouse or even like a fucking small little Italian garden in San Marcos, you can't talk to anybody without yelling. Oh man, people, man. Fucking people.
well, we'll see you guys next week.
Oh, hey, yo, we don't have to do the outro again.
We did
it.
Bye.
Hooray!